Wow, that was fast. We are live here. Hey, everybody, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.com, and this is I believe, the fourth annual. I don't know. I can't do math off the top of my head. Anyway, this is the best of episode that I've done every year since 2011. Well, 2012, but it was the best of 2011. I remember that much.
Yep.
Ooh. Guess what I did, Travis?
What happened?
I forgot to mute the YouTube. Yeah, I screwed it up. I already screwed it up. Okay, let's see. And with me, as always, and you've already heard him, is my good friend and usual co-host, Travis, Mr. Oddfellow's Thoughts. Say hi, Travis.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Yes.
Oh, this is great. Alrighty. And because Travis and I usually have so much fun doing this, I decided to ask a couple other folks to join us. Specifically, about a year ago, the Comic Book Parfait show, which is a show that Travis hosts, had its second episode February 4th, and the other co-hosts on the show are with us, minus one. Unfortunately, Damien couldn't join us, which is very unfortunate. But we have the privilege and honor of having two new people on the Longbox Review show. Let's talk to them just real briefly, and then we'll get into our best of, or actually, really, it's our favorites of 2014. First up, let's talk to Johnny DaCosta.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, Eric. Always a pleasure. Can't wait to get into this, man. Love talking comics with all you guys.
Yeah, that's the whole point here. I really enjoyed talking to this group of people on the Comic Book Parfait show and listening to you guys on your own channels. You guys have interesting things to say about comics, so this should be lots of fun. Next up is our good friend Matt.
Hello, internets. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is one of the most fun times I've had preparing for, any kind of comic talk in a long time, so looking forward to this. And sorry about my camera. I don't know why it's acting up today.
Hey, that's okay. Just for those who know who will be listening to this just on the podcast, the audio-only version, we're doing a Google Hangout live here. This what is today? The 22nd of February. But the audio version of the show will go out next weekend, about-ish, depending on how long it takes me to edit that audio. Anyway, we are going to talk about, what is it, 10? We have 10 categories-ish, something like that. We're all going to give our favorite answers to these various categories, and probably some honorable mentions as well, because I can't seem to just pick one thing. I have that problem as far as my favorites. But I wanted to just talk about this real briefly. I don't know how number, if you guys are number crunchers at all. If you'd like to take a look back at the end of the year and see how many comics you purchased and all that kind of stuff. For some reason, even though I can't do math on the fly, I like to do those sorts of things. And so I counted things up in preparation for this, and I actually bought 831 comics and/or trades, mostly floppies, during the year, which comes out to be average 69 books per month, 16 books per week, average.
Wow, you're a machine.
Yeah,
I'm a broke machine.
Actually, that's about where I'm running at too. I haven't actually done the numbers yet to know exactly how many it is of current run comics. I don't buy near the trades that you do, but I have 2 long boxes and a short box stuffed completely full. Like I can't get any more in it from last year.
So you did the whole putting things in long boxes and then sorting them at the end of the year idea that you talked about?
Yeah, I haven't sorted them yet, but yeah, I do have them separated from the rest of my collection, and I still haven't decided whether or not I'm truly going to keep my collection that way by year, or if I'm going to, break down and put it all alphabetically and whatnot like I would normally do. So.
Okay. So this is it a temporary thing? Is that your plan right now, or you're still trying to decide what you're going to do with it?
I'm actually filming this is what I got in 2014 video, so I haven't really done anything with it yet to decide, but I need to decide after that what I'm going to do with it. And tell you, it was quite shocking. Whereas when you buy the comics and you put them away in a relatively reasonable fashion, I don't really realize how many books I collect in a year, because the number doesn't mean as much to me as physically looking at it and going, this is how much I had in a year. So it was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I was guessing maybe a long box and a half, and it was considerably more than that. So.
See, it takes me about a month maybe to fill up a short box, and that's when I decide that it's time to take those comics and integrate them into my alphabetical, more or less, collection. What do you guys do, Johnny and Matt, as far as that goes?
Specifically for weeklies, or monthlies, I guess, or weeklies, I do have them accessible in one section in my comic book basement room, and my other collection, it is separated right now, but they're both alphabetically. I actually last week I started taking out my books from 2014, 2013, especially my Batmans, because they're hitting the issue 40s now, and I am putting them into the other section of with the other volumes, which is volume 1 is obviously the first in my box, and I incorporated now just the volume 2s behind. So starting fresh again, because I've never really recorded how many books I purchased in 2014. So maybe that's a bad indication that I'm spending too much. I won't.
That's a smart move. Don't do it. Don't count.
Exactly, because I'm worried that it will discourage me, and I don't want to feel discouraged in buying comics. Come on, So, but yeah, right now that's what I do. Just like you, Eric, I do fill up a short box every month of just our monthlies, our comics, and so. When it starts getting a little crowded during my accessible area, then I'll move them over to the vault, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Matt?
Matt's away,
I just kind of have a massive pile right now of my recent comics because I recently reorganized my comic room, and I realized I'm more or less at capacity. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do.
Buy a bigger house.
So, yeah. Well, I think I figured out something, because I talked to, Eric, I noticed you're a big proponent of what are they called? I have one of them here. The drawer boxes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've tried those before, and I don't like them because when you pull them out all the way, they kind of fall down.
Especially when you stack them up. Yeah.
And so I'm looking at yeah. So I found something else where they have long boxes and they're just a long box in kind of a cardboard case. And I asked them how many stacks you could have completely full, and they say you can do 3 to 4, which I'm taking to mean 3. And I think I could replace an entire wall of those somewhere with something else I have and make some room. But still figuring that out.
So those are the other kind of drawer boxes that I've heard about, but I've never actually seen anybody use or seen them in person. So if you get those, I'd be interested in see how they work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a different company, because the guy who created the drawer boxes is actually in Denver, and I've talked to him before, and he's very proud of his product, and always a nod and a smile.
Sponsoring the Longbox Review Best of 2014 episode is no.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody want to say anything else about their? Well, just real briefly. How about we just kind of talk about our thoughts about comics in general in 2014? Was it a good year? Was it a bad year for comics?
A bad year. A bad year for my favorite characters, I think. Um, Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Batman, and Zero Year kind of got me a little down on the guy, on actually both guys, the writer and character, and
Ah,
but the tail end of 2014, the title, Mr. Snyder has redeemed himself, and I'll be touching on that later in my questions that you provided. So.
all right, good.
It's been a great year for comics, I think. The breadth of stuff that I got to collect this year, that started in this year, and continued in this year, that just started at the tail end of 2013, is great. I don't know that I'm super excited by the big two companies. There are some good stuff in there, but I don't know that I'm super excited by what they did in 2014 and what they forecasted that's going to come in 2015. But as far as just the like I said, the variety of stuff that's out there to collect right now is, I don't remember it ever being this good. So.
Well, 2015 so far has been exceptional. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
This year's been pretty average, I guess. It's been a lot of ups and downs. It's been a lot of trying to figure out where the industry's going for me, because it feels really different now that we're looking at the end of the 52 and stuff, kind of seeing like how is all shaping now that we're just past the year. It's made me kind of look back at the year in a completely different light, I guess. So I'm still sussing it out in my head.
Okay. Like Travis. I guess like Travis and Johnny. There's been a few things where it's like I was not all that impressed with some things. But in general, I think it's been a really good year for comics, especially just the titles I've been reading. And there's obviously I'll talk about my favorites for the year, and those things really shined for me, and thinking back on previous years. So I really enjoyed the things that I've read, and I'm looking forward to what's coming next, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. So let's get right to it. Our first category, and I have these in a particular order, and so I'll read those off, and then people can chime in with their answers. So I guess, Travis, you're up first, and the category is, what is your favorite limited series of 2014? And this could be a limited series that either began or ended in 2014, because I actually chose one that hasn't quite ended yet. I'm going to go out on a limb there to say it's my favorite of 2014, yep, even though it hasn't ended. But right. What's your favorite limited series?
Annihilator, and it hasn't ended yet, but it is my favorite limited series. By far, absolutely love the way it started out. Grant Morrison written, Fraser Irving art. The first half of this is just kind of a Philip K. Dickian, crazy ride of a story, and excited to see where it goes when it ends. But I absolutely loved the first couple issues that came out in 2014, and so it is my pick.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've been enjoying that quite a bit. It was on my short list for favorite limited series of the year, but obviously I chose something else.
And I don't have any runner-ups for that because there were too many.
Okay.
So.
That's interesting, because I was looking at my list of comics to populate these categories, and I actually didn't buy that many limited series for the year.
I did, but a lot of them are really quirky, and there's things that I particularly like about them, but I don't know that I would say they were like Rockstar, series on their own. Like White Suits came out last year from Dark Horse. I really liked it. I liked the art. The art in it was just really dynamic and crazy with the coloring in it and whatnot. But I don't know at the end of the day, when the story was completely told, that it was like, this satisfying story. but there are elements in it that I really, really, really liked. So I don't know, kind of thing. But there were a lot that were that way that had elements in them, whereas the Annihilator for me, just all the way around, was an exciting book for me.
And see, that's by Grant Morrison, and I'm blanking on the artist's name.
Fraser Irving.
Fraser Irving, yeah. Which, yeah, you put those two together for me, and pretty much I'll buy anything that they're doing.
Right.
Okay, Matt, what was your choice for favorite limited series?
So, in a weird way, this was the easiest one for me to pick because I could only think of one. The way I was phrasing in my mind was miniseries. The only miniseries I could think of that came out this year was Burn the Orphanage: Reign of Terror, which it's kind of like modeled off of like old brawler games where there's just some like dude where all you need to do is punch the problem harder, and it just kind of made for like an 80s movie fight vibes sort of thing. There's a big corporation coming down on these guys because they're technically criminals, but golden hearts, and just seeing that whole thing play through was fun. But it was the only miniseries I could think of this year, honestly, that I read. So that was a pretty easy pick.
And who's that by?
Oh, right. It is Sina Grace and Daniel Friedman. Near as I can tell, this is pretty much the only work they've done. This is the second chunk of Burn the Orphanage that's come out. And I think there's another one coming up next year. So,
and who publishes that?
If you're looking for something a little offbeat, this is Image. Sorry, what was that?
Who publishes that?
Oh, crap.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's a Image publication.
Okay.
Yeah, Image was really big about doing like the 4-issue minis up to like up through like 2013, but in 2014 they just seemed to go to launching a whole bunch of not minis, so ongoings. So.
Well, yeah, it's interesting you say that because Image put out, was it Fatale by Ed Brubaker and oh gosh, I'm blanking on
Sean Phillips.
Sean Phillips, thank you. And while that's, I mean, it's a limited series in a sense. I mean, I went to like 24 or 25 issues, but it's not something that I consider a limited series, because it is, basically a 2-year-long project.
But started out as being,
yeah,
what, 9 or 15 issues is what it was supposed to be to start out with?
Right. Matt, did you have an honorable mention in that category?
It's the only one I can't,
because it's only one you
name another.
Right. I should listen to what you guys are actually saying. All right.
Okay.
Johnny, what's your favorite limited series?
I also phrased it like Matt, as a mini series, and something about 2014 that I implemented into collecting was that I wasn't gonna pick up too many miniseries. I was gonna just wait them out, and if I see a trade for cheap, I'd jump on it if I heard anything great and positive about it. But this one particular book got my attention, and basically, what got my attention about Wild's End is the War of the Worlds Orson Welles broadcast from 1938 that I've always been a fan, and it's something that I actually listen to every year on Halloween. Actually, October 30th is my wedding anniversary with my wife, and I actually edited it into our wedding video, the radio broadcast, as an intro. So, yeah, that's how much of a fan.
Wait, did she like that? Is that something she enjoyed? Okay.
Yeah, she loved it because she knows I've always been a fan of War of the Worlds. Always been fascinated about that. So yeah, so because of War of the Worlds, and we got married on October 30th, obviously not 1938. Our intro is a slight intro of like grainy film edits and of Orson Welles broadcasting what's going on. So when I first heard of Wild's End, fascinated with War of the Worlds, and also the Wind of the Willows. I'm also a fan of,
Hmm.
but I'm not really a fan of anthropomorphic talking animals in my comics. But this book for some reason um, it made me like not really care that it was animals talking. What it did that I really enjoyed was it made me forget that animals were talking. That's how much the British charm came through, and that's what I loved so much about it. It's from Boom Studios. The writer is Dan Abnett, I think. It just has their last names on here, but I think it's Dan Abnett, and his initials INJ Colbert is the artist.
Yeah.
So um, I picked up another mini for honorable mention. I think the other mini that I was really fascinated with was the Marvel Knights Spider-Man, done by one of my favorite artists, Marco Rudy. But I didn't really enjoy reading it. I just loved it for the art. But this, hands down, just finished. Actually, I think it was last week, Travis.
Yeah. Yep.
So and we got the news that they're gonna come up with another. There's a continuation. So looking forward to Wild's End Volume 2.
Yeah, that was actually a book I initially looked at getting because of Abnett and the Colbert collaboration. But in the end, I decided I would wait for the trade on that.
It was a fun story.
It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And that's it.
Okay, so what I chose for Best Limited Series, like I said at the top of this, was a series that hasn't ended. The last issue will be coming out at the end of February, so by the time this airs on the podcast, it will probably be out, unless they've again pushed it out on the schedule. But what I've chosen is Bodies.
Yeah.
By Cy Spurrier, that's the writer. What's really cool about this series is that there are multiple artists, Megan Hetrick, Dean Ormston, Tula Lotay, Phil Winslade, and Lee Luckridge, doing several pages. Every issue has a different storyline. So basically this book follows a murder mystery through 4 time periods. And and each artist does each time period, and there are different characters involved, of course, because of the time frame, and so you get very interesting characters with the art, the combination of the art with these characters, and furthering that story along until, of course, I think in the end, I hope we get to know what's going on and why. But it's been a very interesting read, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to read.
How many issues in is that?
It'll be 8 altogether.
And it's been awesome. I mean, they do so well with the 4 artists doing each of the time zones and whatnot, and their art is so different from each other to really instantly you're in a different time frame because of those 4 different artists on it.
So Travis, which since you're reading this, what's your favorite timeline to read?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I like the one that's set in the way future, just because I like Tula Latoy's artwork, and it being just kind of because the characters are suffering from some like radiation pulse or whatever. They're all kind of scatterbrained. I mean, she's supposed to be being this detective, and she can't even come up with words for what a corpse is, what a body is, kind of thing. And so I like that era just because of how weird and kooky it is. I think the era I like least is 1940. I like the 1880s because it looks almost like you're reading like some old Magnolia Universe kind of a book. It has kind of that feel of that world to it, which I always like. And actually, I like the modern era storytelling with the character I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, but the
Shahara.
yeah, who's a Muslim police officer working in England, and just her attitude, her way of dealing with stuff and whatnot. I appreciate just how kind of kick-ass that she is and stuff. So
Yeah. That storyline's my favorite actually.
Yeah.
I really like that character.
I'm just really, I mean, because we got one issue left now. How it's all going to come together at the end of this whole thing is because there have been some pretty interesting plot twists that have happened since the beginning of the storyline. So.
For my honorable mention, I chose a six-issue series from Boom Studios. It's let's see, hold on one second here. It is by Claudio Sanchez and Chandra Eckert are the writers, and it's drawn by Daniel Bayliss, and that is Translucid.
Oh.
You can see that. That's one cover anyway.
Mm.
This is a superhero tale. It's really a story about a superhero and his nemesis, the horse. The superhero is called oh man, I'm blanking on it. The Navigator. That's who he is. And so the horse, the villain, actually takes it upon himself. Actually, it reminds me a lot of what Snyder's doing in Batman with the Joker, because the Joker's trying to make Batman the better hero or whatever by taking away his family and all that stuff, and then more recently in Endgame. What he's trying to do, I guess. But it's a very similar tale in that the horse is trying to basically show the Navigator how he can be a better hero. And it takes some interesting turns, especially at the end. If you haven't read this, the ending was a little different. Definitely not something that they would do at the big two in terms of one of their hero characters. So I really appreciated the difference of it. The art is really interesting. The powers of the Navigator are based on hard light, so hologram technology. So that was kind of cool to see the way that the artist portrayed that. So it was a really cool series, and interesting covers too. This is issue 2, and you get the two characters, the Navigator and the horse here. One in blue and one in red, but they're it's kind of, it reminds me of a playing card. You know how you have the two the image on the face cards, where it's flipped on one end and the other. So I just like the covers that they did. So anyway, in fact, this cover here to Translucid number 2 was one of my runners-up as far as favorite cover of the year. But we'll get to that later.
Hadn't even heard of that book.
Really?
How is that possible?
Well, you should definitely check out the trade, Travis.
I'm gonna have to. I like reading superhero stories that aren't by the big two, just because they might do something a little different with it. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to mention that Jeff Stokely is the artist on many of the covers of Translucid, including the two that I showed, as well. So. Okay. Next up is our favorite cover. Let's do that. Cover, Matt. Oh no, Travis. Sorry, Travis, you're up first.
Favorite cover.
Which to me is the hardest thing to figure out.
It is. It's impossible. I mean, for me, it's impossible because I can name off really easy a whole bunch. I am going to go with Low number 1. Just because I like the art, I love the image of this big, monstrous, mechanical, mechanoid man and this little girl with a umbrella, and she's reaching up to him to either hold his hand or whatever, and the seascape that's going on. I'm also picking this one because Low was on my short list for a lot of other things too, but I technically didn't pick it for anything else. So I gotta pimp the book somewhere. So this is where I'm pimping the book at.
Gotcha.
I just absolutely love it. I I don't know. Tanichi, I guess is, I don't know. Tanaki? I'm not sure how to,
Yeah.
is it Tanichi?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Love his art all the way through the book. I mean, the cover is a perfect example of what you're going to get inside every issue, and I just love it because it's so much, feels to me so much different than everything else. And there's just a lot of potential whimsy and imagination going on in that. So that's my choice for my cover. There's a ton I could pick for honorable mentions and whatnot. I mean, I love this issue of Trees. I like most of the covers for Trees. I especially like this one just because of the whole TMN Square, the tanks rolling in on the single man from the 80s that was so, that's an image that still gets used and is still striking, and I like it for that because it does represent that in this issue too. So that's my runner-up for cover.
I just got that first trade of Trees too. That was one of those decisions I made in terms of let's wait for the trade so I could maybe not spend so much money every month.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm going that way.
Okay, Matt, you're up.
Oh,
What's
sorry.
What's your favorite cover?
Well, this was really hard, and I went through a lot of the low covers, as Travis was pointing out. My runner-up was basically every cover for Green Arrow, and that was a good book this year. Before the new creative staff went on it, all those covers were incredible.
When Sarantino was doing the covers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were incredible. Another one that really struck me was Daredevil 1.5. It's just, kind of a standard Daredevil cover, but in the background is all this graffiti of all the different eras of Daredevil and kind of some different artistic styles. It's really beautiful. But the one that kind of took the cake for me was actually this one solitary Ninja Turtle cover where you just kind of have Michelangelo sitting in the autumn, and it was one of the most kind of silent, poignant, like, I want this as a poster. And that's usually my gauge of what I think the best cover is like, I want that piece of art on my wall,
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this was the cover.
Who's that by?
This, I'm pretty sure, was Campbell, but I will double check so as to not lie on the internet.
While you're doing that,
Ross Campbell.
Okay, excellent. So I'm glad you mentioned that Daredevil cover because that was on my short list as well.
Oh, cool. A man of good taste.
Travis, did you say who that Trees cover was by?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. That is by Jason Howard. Jason Howard does all the art for that and does the art for the cover.
Okay. So you guys are introducing me to all these different creators that I actually haven't heard of, so I'm kind of embarrassed to say that.
Well, if you want to check out Ross Campbell, I know he has a fan Ninja Turtle comic somewhere for free online if you just dig through his stuff. So.
Okay. Excellent. All right.
All right. I'm up?
Yep.
You're up.
Okay. Well, Eric, I approached your question through different avenues. I didn't know. Obviously, when someone asks you what's your favorite cover, I pulled out 20 issues that looked gorgeous, beautiful. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, what out of the covers I pulled out? There's certain covers that actually got me excited for the book, and I have another. I actually picked two covers. One that's an honorable mention because of what I got, the excitement I got from it, and the one that I'm actually going to talk about that I chose as a favorite cover is a book that I actually dropped and went back to it just solely for the covers. So if the book can get me back just for the cover, then that's pretty impressive, I think. And and Travis knows this one. This book right here, it's actually Catwoman number 35. I don't know what it was about this cover. It had me, it just had me so anxious. I just wanted it. I just wanted it. I think it took 3 months when I first found out about this cover that I couldn't wait to have it in my hands for 3 months. Joshua Middleton, I think that's Josh Middleton. I think is the artist for this cover, and the way that I'm not really a fan of simple covers. I'm not. I'm like I
Uh-oh.
said
Then
before.
you're not going to like mine then.
It's okay, but I'm a fan of like the low covers and all my honorable mention. This is the one that got me on emotion. That's why I want to choose this as my favorite cover.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the Robins. But this was based on emotion. But this one was just based on the simple. I'm not a fan of simplistic covers, but just the use of white, orange, and black. Again, another shout out to Halloween, which I love so much. And I think that's what it was. And it kind of actually resembles some like vintage Halloween newspaper ads that I see sometimes at the antique markets, where it's just children pouring out their bucket, and it kind of looks like the newspaper print, just the black and white. And I don't know what it was, but I do not read Catwoman anymore, and I wanted this cover, and that's why I chose it as my favorite cover for 2014. But this
that's the October variant cover, right?
Yeah.
That's the one I picked up too, because it's just awesome. Yeah.
That's so funny you guys say that, because I almost ordered that book, ordered that issue for that cover, and I don't read Catwoman.
Yeah.
Because that cover just looked awesome.
It just amazing. I just had to have it. But this one was on. This is like the runner-up. Obviously Tim Gleason, Batman and Robin number 36, and this one was just based on emotion. Seeing three, obviously Robins on here. Well, not Robins. I'm sorry. That's Barbara Gordon. But seeing them in Robin costumes and just the dominance, the color of yellow, green, and red, and we knew what was coming, just had me excited. And I actually declared this cover of the year when it first came out.
Yeah. Wow, Johnny, you and I think have some similar tastes, because I almost chose that as well, and I love that cover for the same reason. You know, all the characters dressed up as Robin. I'm a huge Robin fan in general, so that issue was one of my favorites of the year, and I'll actually talk about that in another category.
Nice. Can't wait for that.
Before we move on, I'm seeing some comments here. I'm actually not seeing them in the toolbox, but I'm getting a notification here on my phone. Ghost Critic commented about the best limited series last year for Ghost Critic would have had to be Night World, a mix of 70s Kirby nostalgia with a nod to the creepy and eerie era. So. Night World, I'm not familiar with that. Are you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks very Kirby-esque, actually.
It does.
Issue, number 1. I almost got that one just for the cover too.
Yeah.
And Ghost Critic also chose for best cover Deadly Class number 8.
Oh yeah. Deadly Class did have some great covers.
Yeah.
Number 8, the desk.
It's the psychedelia one. It's the one after they're on the acid trip in Vegas.
Yeah.
I think it's yellow. I want to think it's like yellow. The cover.
Okay.
It's one of those yellow ones. It's all.
Okay.
Yeah, he says here, psychedelic acid trip visuals that follows through into the inside of the issue. So.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Intriguing. God, you guys are going to give me far too many things to go buy from 2014. There we go.
Yeah.
Johnny, show that again. I didn't quite see that.
It's coming up soon.
There we go.
Yeah.
I was actually online getting ready to purchase some art for that issue.
Oh wow.
You guys and your art. I can't afford
don't
art.
Don't buy my pages, John. Don't buy my pages.
Oh.
I swear.
All right. For my favorite cover, I chose about a good dozen comics that were my favorite, so I had to whittle it down to something that is somewhat simplistic in its presentation, but for me, a cover has to grab you, has to make you interested in reading it, and not only grab you, but also should grab people walking into a comic book store or flipping through previews or whatever. kind of like Johnny was saying about the Catwoman cover, to make people want to buy it. And it doesn't hurt that this particular issue is drawn by someone who is a very good artist and does draw, shall we say, female characters very well. He's well known for this. But I chose it mostly for the negative aspects that are shown on the cover, and then just the cover or the colors that are used, and it gives the cover a very striking appearance. And so that is Ferris number 23 by Art Adams.
Wow.
And you've got the title itself in the bubbles there, floating through there. You got the little mouse character where her.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Her derriere is.
Yeah.
And there are other mice characters shown throughout here, making up or filling in her body. So it's just I just really, it just really struck me, this cover. And Art Adams has been doing the covers for this series since the beginning.
Wow.
And they've all been very good, but this one in particular, I particularly enjoyed.
Nice.
And for my runner-up, I decided I'm going to cheat a little bit, guys.
Sure.
How awesome have the David Aja Hawkeye covers have been? And they're kind of simple in a sense too, with their design elements, and the color schemes, but they're just so different on the stands. I mean, nothing looks like these.
Sure.
And this particular one here is one of my favorites. Just again, it's the color schemes I guess I'm responding to, but really really simplistic design sense, I guess. I mean, I'm not really simplistic. That's not the right word. But
it's still very creative.
Yeah, it's very creative, but simple elements, with the shapes and whatnot, and there's just not a lot there, but it says so much about the story here. Once you read it, it makes a lot of sense when you look at the cover again. But Aja's stuff is just amazing.
Yeah, I like those covers. I like the first year better because the first year the color schemes were purples and grays. Because I am not an orange yellow fan, so I do not like the color of this year's covers. I mean, I like the design. You're right, the design of them and some of the stuff that's in like the crossword puzzles and whatnot are great. But I do not like those colors.
See, I like those colors, so it's pretty good. But I agree with you. I actually did not realize that. So did they actually do a color scheme per year?
I think so. I'd have to go back and actually look at the numbers to see where the break is at, but I believe so. It either went by year or it went by arc, one of the two.
I would think it was arc, kind of like phases of the comic as it went through. That's what's singing in my head.
Yeah.
Actually, Terry Moore did that on his Rachel Rising series as well. So yeah, every story arc had a particular color palette that he chose to do. So that's really cool. I'm glad to see that other people are doing that. I think it's a really cool idea.
Well, and Saga has like a color for each cover, so when you wrap around, like it's just basically solidly that color, and it's just in the background. I think that helps those stand out too. And those are all great covers, but they're so. As of this year, I just kind of expect them to be great, so it doesn't stand out as much.
Right.
Well, Fiona Staples is just great in general, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Eric, Rachel Rising just wrapped up the purple covers, I think, which is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I like them all. So.
Oh, that's what do I. You know what? Maybe I should rephrase that about the. I'm not a fan of simple covers, because of course simple covers are creative. I'm just worried about maybe basic or lazy covers. I'll stick with that. Some covers come across lazy, but
just like a Batman on the cover, like wah.
I've never been a fan of Greg Capullo's Batman run.
Yeah, the covers, most of those covers are simplistic in a, I don't know.
It seems
the
very
Zero
arrogant.
covers, for instance, most of those, the giant broken skeletal hand that Batman's standing
Yeah.
on, and something in the I can't even remember what it is in the background. That cover sticks out to me because it is so for such
Irrelevant.
such a big book, such a bland cover. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I love the
that's-
one where it's that bat symbol, but it was green. Then the other one where it's like black on black, and then the one where it's like the
The
black on
Metallica
red.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It angers me when it comes across lazy, and not lazy, but it's kind of arrogant. I think, where it's like it's gonna sell. I'm just gonna, dip it in ink or whatever they do. I don't know. Just I don't
He's
know.
too busy doing the interiors to do covers.
I'm sure he can pull a panel out of his interior and just blow it up to scale and make that the cover. Come on. Anyways, you got me ranting.
That's okay.
We're supposed to be talking favorites, not what we hate. Yeah.
Yeah. But Johnny, the point you bring up is very valid because, like I said, I went through about 800 covers just reviewing them, just to choose the ones that I liked. But the one thing I noticed about the vast majority of the covers is that they're just the lead characters on the comic, and most of these are superhero comics, I will admit, but they're just action scenes of them doing something, and they just weren't interesting, because I've seen those kinds of covers on superhero comics for the last 30 plus years, and after a while you just kind of tune them out. I do anyway, and they're just not being innovative at all.
Well, a ton of those covers, quite frankly, are stock art that they hire the artist. The artist does a bunch of Batman pictures or a bunch of Wonder Woman pictures or whatever the case may be, and then DC and Marvel, in the case of Marvel too, just have them sitting around in stacks, and it's like, okay, we need a cover. They dig through that, go, oh, let's use this cover. It's maybe marginally relevant, and that's what they paste up for I think happens a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say, off that, though, this isn't relevant to this year, but there's that one month several years ago where DC basically took what would have been a stock cover, but they just made the backgrounds white and put kind of the symbol of the character behind them.
Yeah.
And those covers, I've seen a lot of comic shops or like places at cons kind of use to like denote what's in the box or whatever. And just because they just kind of pulled away all the background noise, it really stands out and it's a really clear kind of like symbol of what it is. And I think that it's an interesting take on that whole cover situation.
That's a Batman number 706, Tony S. Daniel.
So it's just Batman and the symbol. Yeah.
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 All right.
Okay, let's move on to the next category, which is our favorite original graphic novel or collection. A trade collection, hardback, trade paperback. Either way, it doesn't matter. Travis, what you got for us?
David Latham's Stray Bullets, the Uber Alice edition. It's 1,000 pages of black and white graphic violent goodness, basically. And so it's my pick. It came out this last year. It's literally the collection of the first years of Stray Bullets all in one place. Presented in great chapters, and each chapter kind of does have its own kind of thing going on, and I'm really digging it. I actually bought this first, and 3 pages in, I knew I was going to be getting the ongoing that started this last year. So, yeah, that's my pick.
I almost picked that up myself.
And I got a good deal on it, so it, basically 50% off. It was kind of hard not to get it.
What is the cover price of that, Travis?
The cover price of this is $59.99.
Right. So I know why you got the 50% discount, and that is the reason why I have been getting a lot of trades in the last couple of years, is because if you're going to get 50% off by ordering a new trade, why not?
Right. It's hard.
Even though I have almost 100 trades of various sorts collections on my bookshelf over there to read.
Still to read.
Yes, still to read. I'm barely keeping up on my monthly or the weekly comics that come out, and I have all these trades to read as well. But so I'll never be bored. I've got plenty of entertainment.
Yeah. Wow.
Did you have an honorable mention in that category, Travis?
I don't. That's the one I went with.
All right. What about you, Matt?
So I have a runner-up here that I'm totally cheating on, but I was waiting for this volume of this collection for 3 years. So I'm going to give myself a couple months and put in the 2014. And that was Neon Genesis Evangelion 14, which is the final chunk. And I've been waiting for this forever because Ava is near and dear to my heart, and getting to compare the finale of that to what they're doing for the manga, which you can't even argue is intended when it's done a decade and a half after the initial one was done. This was just... It was nice to wrap up something that I've been reading for ever, basically. 14 volumes, and it took years upon years. When I started, they were already in a third printing of their English editions, so I don't even know how long it was, but crazy and different. But this year, there was no question in my mind the graphic novel of the year was Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley.
Oh, nice.
And,
Another one I was going to try and pick up.
I need to get that.
This is one of my favorite things I read all year, hands down. It's super fun. I mean, if you want to look for it, there's obviously echoes of Scott Pilgrim, and he makes a very small appearance. But it's all in color, and it's its own thing, and it's just a really beautiful kind of story that it's really nice to sit down and read a comic that has a beginning, middle, and end. I don't know. It's just
I love
something
that.
about that. Yeah. So that was my pick this year.
Nice. I plan on picking that up at next month when I go to Emerson Comic Con. I'll pick it up from the Oni Press booth. It's on my list of things I know I'm getting.
Ooh, that's a good idea, Travis. I might do that too.
If you guys do that, let's do a talk on that.
Cool.
Matt, sorry, Johnny. I just wanted to ask about your honorable mention.
Oh yeah.
So what? Oh gosh, the question I had just flew out of my brain.
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. What can you just give a brief synopsis of what that series is about? Because I've never heard of it.
A brief synopsis of Neon Genesis Evangelion. All right. Oh my God. There's a small
Put you on the
kid
spot.
who needs to pilot this robotic mecha. If you know mecha at all, giant robots punching each other. In this case, they're punching angels, which are coming down to destroy humanity. And he needs to pilot this thing because in order to pilot these machines, it takes a certain mental coefficient, and for reasons that get explained, he is literally the only person on the planet that can pilot this machine to save humanity. And there's a whole bunch of psychological, religious, and whatnot fallout from that. It's a very complex, compact show, so that's why I'm struggling to wrap it up quickly. But yeah,
All right.
that sort of thing.
All right. Well, it sounds intriguing to me. You throw in angels and anything, and I'm pretty much, hey, what's that about? So I might have to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a Ghost Critic here. He's got another comment here. Best OGN. Oh, he agrees. Brian Lee O'Malley's Seconds. Beautiful, quirky, and magical with the Scott Pilgrim magic sprinkled over it. A book I really didn't want to read in one go because I just didn't want it to end, I think.
Yep.
And he also comments that it's the end of the world because he and Matt agree on something.
Yep.
What?
Scary.
We've agreed on things.
Once a year, right?
Yeah, once a year.
You're okay with that, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Go
Well,
ahead, Johnny.
this is going to be short and sweet, Eric. So I did not read any original graphic novel that was published in 2014. Yeah,
No trades?
I've read trades, but nothing. I understood the question that we were pick your favorite from 2014. That was I'm assuming published in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. I didn't read it. I've read older. I read like older graphic novels, but nothing that was new. I actually purchased from Diamond. I ordered Strongman by Charles Soule, but that was published in 2009, and I don't know how the hell. And my copy says first edition, so I don't know if it was the first time printed in graphic novel in 2014. But
Well, it was published in 2014, so
I didn't finish reading it. So
okay,
yeah,
that's one mulligan.
That's all right. Yeah, there
I
you
read
go.
Trillium. I dropped that at issue 2 or 3, and I bought the trade. Nothing really fancy there. So yeah, that's it.
All right. No problem there. Let's see. I chose for original graphic novel, and this is an original graphic novel. Gail Simone's and is it Calafiore? Calafiore?
Leaving Megalopolis.
Leaving Megalopolis. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, it was a Kickstarter, right, Travis?
Yeah, that's where I got mine. I got mine from
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
that's what I
too.
thought.
Yep.
So this book was. So this is kind of how I read things. When I get the trades in, I'll start flipping through them and just kind of read the first few pages. Not intending to read the whole book at that time because I need to read the weeklies first. That's how I do. I plow through my weeklies and then I get to the trades and OGNs that I buy. But like I said, I have almost 100, so I'm trying to be choosy about what it is that I read. So I start flipping through Leaving Megalopolis, and I can't stop reading the book. It just drew me in and would not let me stop reading it. And I sat there for the next, 30 minutes or so reading this graphic novel, and could not put it down. It was engaging. The story is, if you're not familiar with the story, but there's a bunch of superheroes in this world, and they all go mad. They start killing everybody and maiming people, and it's like cats playing with their food kind of a thing. But the story follows a few characters that are not superpowered. They're just normal human beings trying to survive in this apocalypse that's arrived on their front steps. And it's just the way that Simone and Calafiore created this story, created these characters, and then put them in the situation and how things get resolved. Although the book does end on a cliffhanger, so I assume that we're going to get a volume 2. But even still, the story, like I said, was just very engaging, and it just grabbed me by the shirt collar and said, "Read me." Really good read. Travis? What did you think of that? Have you read that yet?
Yeah. I read it when it first came out in the Kickstarter. As soon as I got it, sat down and read through it. There are elements about it I like. I did not care for the ending. The last little bit of it, I didn't like the resolution or non-resolution that happens at the very end. I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Now, I wasn't upset with the idea of them setting up the potential to be something else. It's that one character that we kind of followed through a lot of it. What ends up with that, I don't know.
Not satisfying?
No.
Yeah, I totally understand you. Because I kind of felt the same way, but at the same time, I just accepted it as this is part 1 of the story. So give us part 2 now, and actually tell unless I don't know, Travis. I knew of the Kickstarter, but I didn't actually check into it. I don't know if they had announced what their plans are for this series. If it's one graphic novel, two graphic novels, a series of them over time.
One, because they didn't know what was going to happen and whatnot. Of course, it's one of the most successful comic book Kickstarters ever, I think, or at least at the time it was. They made what, 100+ grand, I think, in Kickstarter fundage on the book. So it way outperformed anything they could have possibly thought that it was going to that it was going to do. I think so. They talk about there being another one. I don't know when that would happen or whatever. I haven't gotten any messages, via Kickstarter saying, "Oh, we're looking at doing another one," or that. I mean, they've mentioned they might, but I have not seen anything close to concrete. Have you, Matt?
They haven't messaged anything, and since God, of all the stuff I've kickstarted, I have never gotten that many messages from a Kickstarter before. I imagine the minute they decide to do it, we'll hear about it 5 times over.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel like kickstarting it actually really hampered my ability to enjoy the book, because for about 2 years I'm getting all these messages, little clips of art, and I'd seen about, a third of the book's like pages without dialogue already. And when it was all said and done, I'm sitting there reading it, and I'm enjoying it, but the best way I could put it is, like, in my mind, it was like a fierce mediocre, like, all right, this is decent. But I couldn't shake the idea that it was very similar to Irredeemable. And I feel like it didn't explore a lot of ground separate from Irredeemable. So, I thought it was all right, and I'll be honest, I forgot that was this year, because in my mind it was like years ago that it was supposed to be out.
Well, you know what? It didn't come out this year for us, Matt, as Kickstarter. It came out. It came out in 2013 because I didn't go to Emerald City Comic Con last year. It was the year before that I talked with Gail about it. I think I read the first 8, 9, 10 pages off of her husband's tablet, standing in line, and and then it came out like the next month. It actually was put out. So, but that's Dark Horse, right, Eric? The publication.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that came out 2014, the Dark Horse's publication of it. But it actually, if you were a Kickstarter person, you got it the year before. That's why it seems like it's been a long time since we have kind of talked about it. Yeah.
All right, so that explains why it says on the copyright page it says 2013, 2014, but it does say first edition September 2014 from Dark Horse.
Right.
All right, that explains it.
Right. Yep.
Hey, and Matt, I see where you're going there with the comparison to Irredeemable, because I'd read that as well. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's not my favorite now.
I'm not trying to bring it down. It's just when I was reading it, I just couldn't shake that, and then it just kind of ended. And knowing that, like, if we were going to get a continuation, it was going to be years later, also kind of sucked out. That's why I'm saying, like, the Kickstarter thing, I think, really sucked out my enjoyment. Because if I had just bought it and read it, I feel like I would have liked it so much more. So you got the better experience.
It sounds like it anyway.
Yeah.
For my honorable mention, this was a complete surprise. How much I enjoyed reading this book as well. I know some of you, maybe all of you here have read this. I know you liked it. I know a lot of people liked it when it first came out. I just, for some reason, decided not to pick it up and waited for the trade. But when I did, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that is Rat Queens, Volume 1.
Oh.
So this is by, let's see, Curtis J. Wybe, drawn by, is it Rock or Roke? Upchurch? Rock Upchurch, with Ed Brisson on the letters. When I first started reading this, like the first issue that's collected here, I was like, really? This is what everybody's, gaga over? But the more I got into it, the second issue, the third issue, I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty good. There's interesting characters. It's an interesting setting. This fantasy setting, the dialogue is really funny. It was just a really enjoyable read, and I was really surprised about that. And surprising me with the comic, kind of like how Leaving Megalopolis did, as far as pulling me in. That takes a lot. It doesn't happen very often. Because like I said, I've been reading comics for over 30 years, and I've seen just about everything I think I can see as far as comics go. So if I'm surprised, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's how I was too. I didn't pick that up in singles, but people were talking about it long enough that I picked it up in trade, and that's how it was for me. I started reading it, and I'm going, okay. I mean, I can see the appeal, but this is nothing all that great. And by the time I was halfway through it, I was laughing my ass off and going, oh my gosh, this is a lot of fun. So.
It'll be interesting to see because there have been some issues lately, shall we say, with I think it's the artist, right?
Yeah, I think next week or the week after that. I'm pretty sure it's February. We get the first issue with new artists on the book. Yeah.
So I'll be really curious. Obviously I'll still get the trades of this. It's not something that I feel like I need to go buy the single issues. I'll just wait for the trade. But I'll be interested to see how the change in artist affects the quality, I guess I'll say, of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, next up is our favorite single issue, a one-shot special or single issue from a series.
I am going to go, because this was really hard, I'm going to go with Grant Morrison's and Frank Quitely's Multiverse, Pax Americana.
Yeah.
Solely because of just how dense it is as far as how much stuff is going on in the issue, the storytelling as far as the art goes. I would love to know on some of the stuff that's in here, because there's a 2-page spread and it's a grid of pictures. Well, it's a picture of a scene that's been gridded, and depending on which one of the cubes you're in depends on whether it's the morning of something, the evening of something, or well after the scene of a crime, all on one page. That to me is just, that alone was incredible, and interesting storytelling. I would love to know how Quitely and Morrison came up with that. Did Morrison go, hey, I want this one picture and I want you to show 3 different things going on in the same picture, or was that Quitely's genius to establish a page like that? I'm not sure, but really like that. I love I think that Morrison also, because he's using the Charlton characters in this, that basically we know Alan Moore used and renamed for the Watchmen. So I think there's some commentary on the Watchmen story within this also, and so I just really loved it. And probably runner-up is the next issue that comes after this one of Grant Morrison and Stewart, I think is the artist. I didn't grab that actual issue. Thunderworld. I love that issue too. My thing. I noticed my thing is really Grant Morrison heavy. I just really think that he really stretched himself in writing these different styles of books. And paying homage to certain things without it being a joke, or because they could have made Thunderworld, which is Shazam World, they could have made it, it's written in kind of the golden age kind of a book, and they could have made it really cheesy, and it ended up not being so. So, yeah, those are my picks. Single issue was really hard though.
Very nice.
Hey.
What?
Uh-oh.
Wondering if we lost Eric.
Do we lose the host?
Am I back?
Okay, now you are.
Oh man.
Now he's
No.
completely gone. Oh. So I guess
no.
we'll
Limbo
hang
without
out.
host. Okay, let's make up a category real quick and pick something.
So this part's going to get edited out of the podcast when he goes to do that, because
Yeah.
So I don't know. Try to make up something on the spot. Favorite superhero this year? Is that too close to something else?
Can I go to the bathroom?
No. Oh, go.
not here you can't.
He's coming back.
Maybe.
There he
Hey,
is.
there he is.
Good Lord.
And to answer your text, yes, you were gone. Currently, I can't see you on camera though either. So
How about now? There we go.
there you are.
Weird.
Yep.
Great.
Got whatever I had.
Oh, this will be interesting. So how does this affect the posting to YouTube when that
I
happens?
should be fine. As long as we're somebody still here, it'll stay.
Yeah.
It should stay live. It may have a brief moment of say we're having technical difficulties and it'll blink off, but it should pop back up. Yeah.
All right, good.
I'm looking at it in a delay and it's showing that you just showed back up. So we're golden.
All right. Well,
And
Travis,
And we said all kinds of rude things because we know you're going to edit that part out of the podcast. So.
All right, excellent. So, Travis, I missed what you were saying there at the end.
Oh well, just that I really liked Thunderworld also as far as a single issue goes of the multiversity because Grant Morrison did a really good job of capturing the golden age feel of a comic book without the stuff that I think most modern readers would look at and go, oh, that's really bad. The cheesiness or the corniness of it. Somehow that for me anyway, got weeded out of it, but still has the I'm here to fight the day and be the champion and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. So.
Well, and when you say too, though, that the artist on Thunderworld had a lot to do with that presentation, that golden age feel, capturing that golden age feel, yeah.
Oh, without doubt.
Which one is it that has the magical heroes? Is that Americana or is it the other one? This is Society one, isn't it?
Oh, the SOS one? That's the one before Pax Americana. That's the one before Pax Americana.
See, I would have guessed that you would have chosen that one, just based on the characters involved.
I loved it. It was a good story. The next two had actually three, to be quite honest, had much better stories in them by comparison for me. This one, Pax Americana especially, that's the reason I picked it. I love the characters and the idea of that SOS one, of the Society one. As far as execution, there's just so much going on in the Pax Americana. I read it a few times. So, and I normally don't immediately reread something unless I'm confused. And I didn't feel confused, but I got more out of it reading it multiple times. So.
For me, that's pretty much any Grant Morrison story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Travis?
Nope.
Okay, let's move on. Hopefully the connection will stay stable for me.
Who's after Travis?
You are.
You, Matt. Single issue.
God. Okay. All right. Well, single issues was hard for me. There was the Ninja Turtles annual. There was, even the Batman annual is really good this year, and those kind of stick out in my mind for single issue stuff. The last issue of the Good Green Arrow run really stuck out to me because it wrapped up kind of the arc, but it was also a tie-in to Future's End. So it was doing a whole mess of things in one issue, and I thought that was super strong. It's probably the only tie-in issue I actually really need to read because it affects Future's End in large ways, whereas most of them were pretty throwaway. But, wow. The one issue that really stuck out to me was this Edge of Spider-Verse 5 of 5, which most people were big on. I think it was the third one, which had Spider-Gwen, which I thought was okay, but basically Spider-Girl take two. This was basically Spider-Man-esque things thrown into a Ava universe, so that when I was talking about earlier, Genesis Evangelion, you could see a lot of that in this one issue, and it was a blending of like two of my favorite things. So it may not have been like the greatest, but this is far and away my favorite. And I'd much rather have this series, which by the way has a female pilot in there, so you could get the whole femme spider thing going. I think that would be more unique than Spider-Gwen, but People love Spider-Gwen, so that's going to sell.
That's right.
Well, it worked on me, I have to admit.
I'll check it out, but I'm much more lukewarm than most people. I don't know. I say Leave for Dead.
All right. Any other? Well, you already mentioned some others, but did you pick a particular issue that would be an honorable mention?
I couldn't, of that mess of stuff. I don't think I mean, I guess the Green Arrow issue would be the runner-up.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you the number right now, though.
Okay.
So,
All right,
yeah.
Johnny, what
Yes,
you got
sir.
for us?
I think I gave you a little hint earlier on, but I picked it class issue 5. Basically
Yeah.
because of the craft this book has. It's just ridiculous. I've been waiting so long for this type of book. I think I'm accidentally spilling into my ongoing series too. Anyways, yeah, but this is the kind of comic book I've always wanted. Like, so much action. It starts off. He's at the tail end of his acid trip, which the previous issue was phenomenal because we got to see Wes Craig display this bending of hallucination everywhere, which just made an incredible read just by visuals. And I love this issue because this is where I got more attached to the main character Marcus. This is where I fell in love with the guy. Seeing him in his room, coming down, things are playing in his head. We got to see a little bit of backstory about him and his parents. His partner, his classmate is with him, and he's going to go next door and kill his father because these are a group of students who are assassins. So he goes there next door. It's just chaos. The panels in this issue were amazing. Just you see, I love the way that they're showing him what he's watching on his TV, but you can see what's next to it is what he's hearing in the back of like what's going on, like in the back of his mind. You can tell he's distracted by this noise. So he gets up and goes next door, helps his friend who's having trouble killing his father. Just the visuals are unbelievable, so violent, so graphic, and I love it. It's just awesome. And you think after that roller coaster, after that ride of just, my adrenaline was pumped. We're not over. He goes into his other classmate's room, who is seeing this. Oh gosh, Travis, help me out. What is he? His father. Well, he's like those
Cartel. His father. Yeah, his father is like the head of a bunch of cartels and whatnot.
Yeah. So he goes and he goes into her room. She has a crush on him. He, young teenage boy, whatever. He's gonna get some. Goes in there, and then this drug dealer gangster, the classmate he catches them in bed together, and then we got another chase scene. Typical 80s. This takes place in the 80s, and they're paying homage to the chase scenes. It's chase scenes after chase scenes, and it's unbelievable. This issue just basically dropped the mic on my comic books. It was,
that's right. That's the issue that ends with them in the convenience store, with the convenience store all shot to hell.
Can I? Yeah, exactly. I'm going to show you. Eric, are you reading Deadly Class?
I'm not, but it sounds like I should be.
You should be.
Oh my God.
Wait, before you go any further, who's this by?
See, you won't like it. It's Rick Remender.
That's
Rick
why
Remender.
I passed on it.
Yeah, Rick Remender and Wes Craig, and it is incredible.
And Wes Craig
Incredible.
is the artist. This is where I just finished reading issue 11. It came out Wednesday.
Yeah.
I cannot. If I try to pick at it and dissect it, I honestly cannot find anything wrong with this title. Okay, again, I'm spilling into my favorite comic book of the year. But anyways, issue 5, Deadly Class. That's the book that said,
Nice.
"Oh my God, that's it. Love it, love it, love it. I know what this book is about, and I've been waiting for it all my whole life. Not a whole life, but
So is there a first trade available right now, or is that
Two.
to come?
2 trades,
two?
my
Two
friend.
trades. Yeah.
Yeah.
February the second trade just came out.
All right, after this talk, I'm gonna have to go buy it. I'll
Yeah.
buy that first trade and check it
Yeah,
out.
the cover art for the trade is awesome too. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see that picture, but the cover art for the trade. That's the first trade. The classmates walking along with their baseball bats like a gang, and then that's they're as skeletons below.
Yeah.
There's the second trade, but
I'll talk about the series later on when I talk about guess what my favorite comic title for 2014 is. I'll give you more.
Hey, John, when did that issue come out? What month was issue 5?
Issue 5 is.
So that would have been
May 2014. It's what it says here in the
right.
credits.
So that's when the book came out, and I can probably tell you scene for scene what happens in that almost page to page. That's how solid that book is. Really, I should have picked John's pick for single issue.
Issue 5.
I mean, like I can still see him jumping out the window and bouncing off the palm trees. He's trying to get the hell away from the gangster and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and
of course
and
the next issue is incredible too. So
yeah, exactly. There's no I guess breathing room when it comes to this book title. It's interesting. Yeah. So thanks, Eric, for making me read this again.
You're welcome.
So I was like, oh, I love this.
We'll talk more Deadly Class when we get to Best Ongoing.
There you go.
Wow. All right.
Oh, here we go.
Well, what I want to know, though, Eric, is what do you have against Rick Remender?
Yeah, this is something that Travis and I have talked about on a few occasions. I know people think I'm crazy for not liking Rick Remender more, but I just don't like his style. That just boils down to that. It's just I just don't care for his storytelling abilities.
Well, I'm wondering what you read of his that made you.
Well, I could tell you, I read Uncanny Avengers, which that just turned me totally off.
I read that too.
What was Travis? Black Science.
Yeah.
That was okay. It was okay.
This is way better than Black Science. I'll definitely say that. Like Black Science is kind of a mess from a narrative perspective at times.
Mm-hmm.
This story's a lot more. I'd say give the trade a shot. You might be pleasantly surprised.
I hope, and please, let us know when you read it.
Go on. You're a kid of the '80s, Eric. You'll like it for that, if nothing else, because it has these little touches that are the kind of quasi Brat Pack kind of a ness to it. But of course, this Brat Pack makes the Brat Pack of the '80s look pretty tame because these guys are so damaged. They're damaged well beyond having to stay after school, for instance. So. But yeah, it's. Anyway, we're gonna keep talking about it. We should.
Yeah.
Okay. One more comment about it because Ghost Critic is saying Deadly Class number 8. Johnny is spot on.
Yep.
Anyone who has been on acid trip can relate to the madness, the speeding up and slowing down of time.
I wouldn't know that part.
Ghost Critic would.
Remender and Wes Craig pitched it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. All right. Well, you guys have sold me. I'll pick up the first trade definitely.
Yes,
Since I've dropped The Walking Dead, reading that in trade, I need to find something else, I suppose.
If you hate it, I'll buy it off you.
Hey, an Oddfellows guarantee.
There you go. That is solid right there.
Yep.
Because he knows you're gonna like it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Because if he doesn't, we're going to shame him. So
try following that now, Eric.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe I should be going last. All right, so mine is let's see here. Well, I'll just show it to you. It's funnily enough, it's a new 52 Future Zen one shot. Grayson.
Wow.
This is written by Tom King, who is co-writer with Tim Seeley on the main series, but this is written by him with a plot by Tom King and Tim Seeley. It's drawn by Stephen Mooney with colors by Jeremy Cox and letters by Carlos M. Mangual. I really love this issue. Obviously, it features one of my favorite characters in comics, Dick Grayson, in his new role as a spiral spy. which I'm not all that keen on, but you know, I'm reading it just because it's Dick Grayson mostly. But what has blown me away on this series in general, and this issue in particular, is how Tom King is writing the book. So this story starts off with basically it's a flashback story. So you start off at the end, and as you go through this, you know, turn each page, you're going back and back in time to fill in the details of where we started out with at the beginning of the book. And as you go along, there's this added element where you couldn't just read it and know. You had to pick out the clues because there's a little mystery here that Dick Grayson starts out with and reveals little details to his co-star, the new 52 version of Helena. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on her last name.
Bertinelli.
Bertinelli, thank you.
Yeah.
So you really have to become a detective in a way to figure out what the joke is, what the in-joke is of this comic. And I have to admit, I had to do a little research online before I got it completely, but it was really cool to see it. But more importantly, it really showcases the relationship between these two characters. Granted, this is, you know, since it's a New 52 Future's End, it was what, 5 years in the future. That was the premise of that whole thing that they did. So what we're seeing is a possibility of where these two characters and their relationship ends up, because we're just now getting those two characters, Helena and Dick Grayson, together in Grayson. So I believe Grayson, the series, the first two issues had come out when this New 52 Future's End one shot came out. So it was really early on in the series, and just the quality of the writing and the characterization and the plot that was set up was just phenomenal for me. So it was a good book.
So I need to pick that up, because I've been reading Grayson and I've been liking it. So.
Oh, you didn't pick this up either?
No, I didn't pick that up because I didn't want to get involved in the tie-ins to something I wasn't reading. So I went, nah, whatever. I don't need that.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend it, Travis.
Okay.
In fact, out of all the 52, I got a few of them. I got like 6, maybe 8 of those. It was definitely the best by far of all the Future's End stuff. And that really, that's saying a lot. I mean, it was really, really good. It wasn't good for Future's End. It was really, really good.
Cool.
I got the Red Hood one. That was my favorite.
Is that the only one you got?
No, I got Catwoman, Batman. I got a bunch, but that one stood out. It was amazing.
Yeah. And this is one of those categories I actually don't have an honorable mention. So that's it.
Nice.
So now we move on to, wow, we're halfway. And we've been going over an hour. Wow. Maybe it will be a 3-hour show, guys. I don't know.
3-hour show.
All right, so we are at our favorite moment. Travis, what is your favorite moment in comics in 2014?
That's always, hard. There wasn't anything outside of an actual comic itself, because I know sometimes in the past we've used this as kind of a category to say, oh, an announcement or that sort of a thing. But for me, this time it was in a comic. I had originally written down that it was something from Saga, but I went back and looked, and actually that happened the prior year, so I couldn't really do that. But I'm going to go with in East of West, issue number 15. At the very end, there's a character in this, for people who don't know, who is the offspring of death, the son of death, of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, death, and he is escaping from a prison that he's spent most of his entire life in. He's I don't know, I guess he's like a teenager, but very smart and that sort of thing. He's hooked up to a personal computer that are basically his eyes that show him the world. There is a prophecy that this kid will end the world, and but he seems like a reasonable kid. He escapes from this prison he's been in this entire time. He's running away, and his computer, his onboard computer, which is, like I said, tied to his eyes, and it's like tethered to him. And its name is Balloon. It goes by Balloon. That's what the kid calls it, is Balloon. And it's showing him the world, and it's showing him this world where it's a vast wasteland, burnt up fields, and that sort of stuff. And the Son of Death is saying, yeah, this is horrible. We have to fix all of this. I mean, clearly, humans and society are just destroying everything. We need to take care of all this. Fix the problem, implying that he's going to do something really big and awful potentially. And then the final page is you see what is actually there, and he's wandering across this beautiful rolling fields of sunflowers and whatnot. So you get this sudden reveal that this computer is actually the evil thing. It's not the kid, but because of what he's feeding to the kid is going to become basically the equivalent of, I don't know, the Antichrist or that sort of thing, based on the reveal. And I thought it was incredibly effective, because you get this panel of him being shocked. Here's the wasteland that he's seeing. It's just, everything is horrible. It's just burnt and decayed thing. And then you flip the page, and he's talking about how depressed he is, about how horrible everybody wrecked everything. And really, it's like a tranquil painting that he's walking through. Everything is beautiful. So, to me, it was very impactful.
Yeah, I had a similar response to that. I enjoyed that moment as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I had all kinds of cussing of surprise when I was like, "Holy," But yeah, that's my favorite moment.
Any other moments you want to mention?
No, that's it.
All right, Matt, what's your favorite moment?
All right. Well, my runner-up was in the Edge of the Spider-Verse, which is the Spider-Man multiverse thing going on. There was one page which had the Hostess Fruitcake Spider-Man getting eaten by one of the vampire-like creatures, hunting down all the Spider-Men, and that was just amazing to just have them play with that directly.
Yeah.
And I just kept coming back to that page.
Wait, are you being literal? That this is not like an exaggeration of something?
No. So the page is it's Spider-Man being like, I just saved the day with a Hostess fruit pie. They might have used some, slightly, you know what they're talking about. And then he's swinging through, and one of these Morloon characters, which are the whole bad guys of this whole thing, they feast off of like this totem spider energy that all these spider related characters are, and they're traveling through all these universes to get at them, which is the impetus for this whole thing. He basically just lands in front of this guy and just kind of grabs him, sucks out the energy, and says, that was quite tasty, and ends with a little hostess thing. And it's just this one page, and it's just brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my runner-up. And my main moment for the year was when, in the Ninja Turtles, when Donatello betrays his brothers and Master Splinter and everyone and makes a pact with the Shredder to help take down Krang.
Oh,
and
what issue is that?
I can't remember the number, but that kind of came around in the most recent issue. But when that happened, they played that out for months. That stuck with me. It was my favorite character, betraying the family, and that. Yeah, that was my biggest moment.
That's cool. My favorite moment came from a book I think we all read. We've had this, not perception, but we've known kind of the origin of a certain character. Never really, it's an origin that we don't really know, but we kind of know the fundamentals, what happened to this guy. Anyways, I'm just gonna get to it. I'm trying to build it up, and meanwhile. Anyways, it's Batman issue number 37. The moment that Commissioner Gordon was sitting at his desk having his cigarette, and he started seeing the pictures of Joker in all these archival footage. and that cigarette falling out of his mouth, like WT, you know, that's the same. I had the same feeling, like reaction. This moment is very important to me because ever since I read this issue and seen these panels, I've been losing my mind trying to figure out what 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 Scott Snyder, what kind of story is Scott Snyder trying to tell us? What is he going to do with the Joker? Is he a mythological creature? So it's that moment, especially this panel where you zoom in on the picture and you see that, like a nice homage to that the first that character, the man,
Man Who
oh,
Laughs.
the man who laughs. Yeah, that's fantastic. I can go further, but there's two moments actually in this book that really, as the story was progressing towards the end, where Batman finds that Joe Chill Jokerized, and there's no dialogue in these panels, but I love it. I love how you see the blue panels are Batman versus Joe Chill, and the oranges is Commissioner Gordon versus the Joker. And I love the fact that both of these characters are staring at their biggest fears. They're, obviously Joe Chill is the reason why Bruce Wayne is Batman, and Commissioner Gordon that's his biggest fear is the Joker from what he did to obviously Barbara and all that. And so it's this moment with no dialogue as well that I can't decide what is. I couldn't choose which one I love the most. But this was a fantastic issue, and they both feature my favorite moments was the standoff between Joe Chill and the standoff between Joker and Gordon. Both looking at their biggest fears in the face, and it's just amazing. So
is it John? Is it in that issue or is it in the next one where? And this was a WTF moment for me was when we find out that Joker knows who Batman is.
Can I tell you the last panel, Bruce?
Okay.
Oh, Bruce. Eric.
Yeah.
The last panel is.
Last panel.
Hello, Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah. He calls him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He calls him. He picks up the phone. And...
Yeah, but I already knew when 6 pages before when Batman is trying to protect his family by this Jokerized Joe Chill, they're reenacting the scene outside the theater. I'm like, okay, so this person knows who Batman is. And then that's cemented at the end when Commissioner Gordon dropped his phone and Joker picked it up and said, "Hello, Bruce." But he didn't say "Hello, Brucey." So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm freaking out here over this Endgame stuff. I honestly have, like, in my basement some a dry erase board with all these things I'm piecing together.
I want to see that.
You have a whiteboard of clues and whatnot like Flash does on the TV series, right?
I swear to you, I do. I thought about recording it, but it's like, no, this is ridiculous. People are gonna say.
No, you got to show this now. I want to see this.
I might.
Oh, yeah.
I won't do dry erase board, but I might do something Tuesday before midnight on Wednesday when the issue comes out. I don't know. I might, because I'm worried that if I come across ridiculous and silly and stupid and I'm totally wrong, that's the only thing holding me back.
It's never
That'd
stopped
be so
me.
much
Go
worse
ahead.
than the bathroom video.
Oh, nice.
Well,
That's mine.
you reminded me of another moment of this year that I was ecstatic about,
What's
and that was that 0 year ended.
No, that brought a tear to my eye.
Oh.
That's my favorite issue. That was my Ron Hart's favorite issue.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite moment, you'll be pleased to know, John, comes from this issue of Batman and Robin number 36.
Right on.
Which, like, I think I said this before, but this is one of the runners-up for favorite cover. But I actually I had a really hard time with this category because there weren't a lot of I'm thinking back. It's really hard to do this particular one. I think like the cover too, because there's a whole year of comics that I've read, and I don't know. I can't remember everything that I've read. Just kind of blurs together. But when I read this, or when I was thinking of these categories, and what would I choose for this this category, I immediately thought of this one, or almost immediately. But it's the very end of the issue where Batman has gone to Apocalypse. His former partners have dressed up in their Robin costumes in tribute to Damian, and he's fighting through was it Caliban and the parademons. At the very end, on a full page splash, you have this image of Darkseid Shadow and Bruce just standing there, being badass Batman, going, about time you showed up.
Nice.
And it's not like a huge breakthrough moment or anything, but it really reminded me. I took notes here so I wouldn't screw this up. It sent me back to my childhood, where epic superhero fights, or ones that are about to happen anyway, in this case, were just as cool as hell, and I could not wait to read the next issue just to see what would happen between those two characters.
That's
It was just
perfect. That's perfect, then.
yeah, what Tomasi and Gleason have been doing on this title since the beginning has just been phenomenal. I'm really sad to see that they're not going to be continuing, past, what is it, April, May? Yeah, after Convergence. So, this was such a good book. Such a good book. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
That's perfect. That was nice.
Yeah.
It's hard
Okay,
to
now
pick a favorite moment from that title.
Oh yeah. All right, let's go. Let's talk about some creators that we've liked from the last year. Let's go with writer first. Favorite writer, Travis?
This year, Rick Remender. Between Deadly Class, Low, Black Science, I didn't enjoy the last bit of his Captain America quite as much. But still, just the breadth of work that he's doing, the different scopes that those titles are all taking on, and whatnot. His smartness to pick up the creators that he's picked up to do these books with him, I think is a big thing too. So that's my pick this year for Writer of the Year. Two of those books, Deadly Class and Low, hit the top of my list for a lot of these categories, whether I actually end up picking them or not. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Rick Remender.
All right.
Magical Matt?
Any honorable mentions there, Travis, or is that it?
No, this year for me it feels like Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison, I think, has written some really great stuff. That probably my honorable mention with his with the multiverse, just the difference in each of those stories, but continuing to give us little things to tie it all together. I think has been pretty amazing too. And his start of Annihilator, for instance, I think that he has written some great stuff this year also. Yeah, that's the other person I would pick.
Okay, excellent. All right, Magical Matt.
Hey. This year I was going with Alex Cott for his work on Zero, because these comics are able to take kind of silent moments without dialogue, and really make it matter and really suck you in. And normally I would attribute that to the artist. The thing is every one of these issues is a different artist, and they pull off the same trick in a different way, different story, but it's that kind of moment, and it's clear that it's the writer doing it. And for that, I couldn't think of anyone kind of doing something on that level, so I went with Alex Cott for Zero. But runner-up, I'd go with Kevin Eastman for Ninja Turtles. I just keep coming back to that comic. So.
Is Ninja Turtles your new Deadpool?
No, I've loved Ninja Turtles since forever. I learned to read on Ninja Turtle comics, so I wouldn't call them the new anything.
Since he ate his first slice of pizza, he's loved Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
All right. John, what do you got for us?
I'm gonna go with the man who never gets any love. I'm gonna go with my man Peter Tomasi, only because of what he pulled off last year. They stripped away the main protagonist of the book. Um, almost every single issue was featuring not a new character, but he had to put in new characters in there and try to get and keep the story still consistent and flowing and interesting. Even though we knew, oh, next week it's going to be Batman and he pulled it off. This man pulled it off well with all this crap being, put up against them. And I know Peter Tomasi gets a lot of praise for the book. It's like, wow, Batman Robin was awesome, awesome. But we never talk about just him being more. Okay, let's not talk about Arkham. The minute he did the Arkham.
Yeah, Arkham War.
Let's ignore that for a second. But I'm gonna go with Peter Tomasi. This for what he did for 2014 without Damian in the book. So he's my man. He's my pick.
Good. That's a good choice. A very good point too. Pretty much Tomasi has become one of those writers that it doesn't matter what he's doing. I will definitely pay attention, if not buy it outright.
Thank you. Nice.
Tomasi's a great character. He's always been doing something at DC that's worth picking up. He's done a lot of cool stuff, and it's usually kind of like, I want to say like B books, like not the stuff they promote as much, but that usually gives him the clearance to kind of do what he needs to do, it seems like.
Yeah.
And I would even go so far to say as the book was better without Damien in it, and him trying to push it run with all that.
No.
Oh.
Well, I agree. I agree in the sense that I thought it was great to see Batman's journey to get to where he's at, and so he took what could, like John said, he took what could have, well, basically broken the book. They could have easily canceled it in. Well, clearly there's no Robin, so there's no point in that. Allowed him, as opposed to anybody else, to tell this journey of Batman, coming to grips and then dealing with the stuff he needed to deal with in Gotham, telling its own story there with the Two-Face stuff and that sort of thing, and then getting on the task of going after Ra's al Ghul for stealing his son's corpse and stuff. And you're right. I mean, it's great. I mean, I think if they would have given it to any other writer to handle it, it would have been about stuff that wouldn't have been nearly as gripping. And so it definitely is a great book of the year, for sure.
So isn't Tomasi? I just looked this up, and I can only find one reference, but maybe I'm wrong. He's only doing one book post-Convergence for DC, isn't he? Or is he doing something else that I'm not familiar with?
To the best of my knowledge, it's just Superman, Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I looked at.
I know. I'm not really. And
isn't he writing like a spin-off of one of the games or something too?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Arkham Origins or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of video game books, even though I heard Injustice is pretty stellar.
Mm-hmm.
But because Tomasi is involved with this Batman book, and it's about Joker's death, I'm actually interested, and I'm gonna give it a shot. So
I hate the idea of a relationship of Wonder Woman and Superman. I mean, hate, not dislike, hate. I started picking up the Superman Wonder Woman book because Tomasi's writing it, just to see if he can convince me that there might be some value in that idea.
Dude, Charles Soule did an excellent run of that book before it was interrupted by the stupid Doom storyline. But I'm glad to see that you're coming on board for Tomasi.
For Tomasi, not for the idea of that. So,
well, so you probably didn't.
I'm hoping he's going to write the divorce. That's what I'm hoping.
Oh, man, you're harsh.
now that'd be Soul. He's the lawyer.
No,
Yeah,
man.
there you go. Yeah, good one.
But
Good one.
that would be the legal end of it. The emotional, pull at your heartstrings would be the Tomasi end of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
the-
right.
The Dear John letter would be Tomasi. There you go.
That's right. If they do end up canceling that relationship in that book, I definitely would like to see Tomasi write that the ending of that relationship.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome if Wonder Woman wrote Superman a Dear John letter. God, that'd be great.
That'd be great.
Delivered at the tip of her sword. Is that would probably be the the best way to do it. So Travis, you probably wouldn't care for the last episode that I put out of the podcast because I actually mentioned
Yeah.
this Superman Wonder Woman relationship. I actually like it, but let's move on.
Yep.
Okay, John, was that it?
Yes, I'm good.
All right. So my favorite writer, for much the same reason Travis chose Rick Remender, I chose Ed Brubaker as my favorite writer for 2014 because of the depth and the breadth of his work. We had the fantastic series Fatale come to an end in 2014, and Fade Out started at the end of the year with Sean Phillips on both those books. And if you've not read a Brubaker-Phillips collaboration, you are missing out on some excellent storytelling. And of course, he has come out with Velvet, which I will talk about very soon. Honorable mention, Greg Rucka for Lazarus, just simply for Lazarus. Greg Rucka is a great writer in general, but his work on Lazarus. Are you guys reading that?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Just read the latest issue yesterday.
Oh, that's such a good book.
Yeah.
Such a good book. Such a talk about building a universe between him and Travis?
Lark.
I don't have
Lark.
Thank you. Between Lark and Brubaker, they have come up with this incredible near future possibility.
Extremely depressing.
Yeah, it is. This world could happen in the next 20 to 50 years, and it scares the shit out of me. But it's so good. It's a really good story. Anyway, that's my choice for favorite writer. Next up is our favorite artist, and so this could be a penciler, an inker, a color artist. However you define artist. I don't care. So, what do you got there, Travis?
I went with Jason Howard off of Trees.
Oh, wow.
I was there. There's a lot of people I could talk about that I love, but I love the way this book is drawn. His people are excellent. I just think they're drawn very well. They have great facial features. I love every book. This is the one I shouldn't have picked because it's, well, here, I'll cover the stuff that's inappropriate. But every issue opens up kind of like a book in the fact that you get your title page and there's a bleed over from the title page as the story starts and whatnot. He picks very artistic angles to have the camera shot from, for a lack of better description of where our eye is at, the angles. If somebody's sitting at a table, drinking a glass of wine or whatever, you're not going to get it at table level. It's not going to be a level kind of thing. It's going to be not worm level, but somewhere in between that. So you get these interesting shots, interesting views as far as the world around. It is very dynamic. The backgrounds are excellent because there's plenty of stuff going on back there. If you're staying in a city, there's all the stuff that would be in a city is there. Nothing is cheated along the way, and I think it's great for a monthly book. I have no idea what else he's ever done. This is the first stuff I've seen of his, and every time I pick it up and read it, I go, oh, I gotta go look and see what else he's done. Just because I love it. It has a Ryan Kelly ness to it in the facial features as far as how well you can not read the words and know how people are feeling. It has a Gabriel Bra, Fabio Moon ness to it also as far as the caricatures of the book. The color palette is muted but always works. It's great. I mean, it's a book where you get where he gets to draw kind of almost a romance novel of sorts to it. There's parts that are heavily sci-fi or horror ends to it. It's just got a lot of different elements that he gets to write in this that just think that he does great stuff. Excited to find a new somebody that I'm not familiar with, and their art reaches me that well. So
Nice.
Runner-up would be Wes Craig from Deadly Class. His panel work, the craftsmanship. Maybe you don't like the way the faces and that sort of stuff look because he definitely has his own style for the book and the way he's doing it. But the craftsmanship that's involved in the paneling, the way the panels are laid out on the page, and to create energy through the book. There are some issues that have come out either the end of this year or the beginning of the current 2015 that are just amazing. Also, as far as the width of panels, the gutters around them, the way it creates the pacing is just incredible too. So, yeah, that'd be it.
All right. So my picks were, I guess, runner-up. I know this is going to be popular to some of you guys. Greg Capullo on Batman, and just Capullo in general. I realized I probably would have dropped Batman if not Capullo being on the book, because just going through that book, the art really stands out to me, and the writing's kind of been up and down, but just the way he does the panels and the way, as long as he's not trying to do an homage to anything, it seems to really stand out positively to me. His covers, yeah, could use some work, but as far as interiors, I think he does a damn good job. But my pick of the year is Francisco Francavilla
Beautiful.
for Afterlife with Archie, mostly. The way that book looks and draws is just... that's awesome. That's amazing. And anytime you get him on a comic, it's just... you could buy the comic for the art alone. It's incredible stuff. I will say, though, with Afterlife with Archie, I would love if they gave those scripts for those issues to one of the regular Archie comics guys and see how they
the
script with that. I think that would be kind of cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, that book, I got the first trade of that, and yeah, I agree with you. The art is just phenomenal. Francavilla is definitely a perfect choice for that story, and I can't wait for the second volume to come out. I wish it would hurry up and actually be published.
Yeah.
They come out slow. They take time, but
very slow.
They're worth it.
All right. Okay. Great choice, Matt. That was awesome. I'm going to go with my man in 2014, breakout artist, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marco Rudy. Fantastic person. I know I'm being biased with him. This is an issue of Uncanny X-Men, number 18, but actually this is not the book that I discovered Marco on. Travis and I pulled Spider-Man Marvel Knights. He was the artist there. Actually written by Matt Kent, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
It was.
Yep.
And something about Marco Rudy, I just love just a lot of resemblance there to J.H. Williams, I think. Some Sorrentino as well. Marco's style is just realism portrait, but he's the kind of guy that he'll put in 13 or 13 styles of arts into an issue. It's crazy. There's some panels here. And his panels aren't your traditional panels. He never sticks with traditional panels. This issue is focused on Cyclops, so everything will be divided by beams, his beam ray. So it's amazing. I love his imagination. Talk to him a lot. He's so creative, and I wish he was on a book that I was interested in, because he's doing the Winter Soldier right now, Bucky Barnes. I bought it to support him, but just something about it, I don't like the writing in it. But fantastic artist. Can't wait to see more work out of Marco. He's just absolutely amazing. And this is a guy who I wanted to buy original pages from, but I didn't know price-wise, because most of my original comic book pages that I own, some are free, were given to me, paid barely anything for. And thanks to Travis here, I was educating myself on the internet how much pages are worth, and I was getting a huge deal from Marco. I was getting a family discount from that guy, and I feel like an idiot right now. I should have bought pages.
You should have. You should
They
have.
were cheap. They were cheap. Now,
His art is incredibly dynamic and whatnot. I see big things for him for sure.
oh gosh, on a book that I will enjoy. I hope a nice title.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually have that. Was that which X-Men book was that?
Uncanny 18.
Yeah. I actually have that, and I remember that 2-page spread that you just showed, and thought, wow, that's really interesting what he did there. And yeah, there are some comparisons to J.H. Williams, but it was still dynamic, and I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I didn't care for what Bendis was doing with the book, so I dropped it.
Oh, I love this story. But does yours have this autograph?
It does not.
You name dropping SOB.
Yeah.
Sorry. I gotta. Come on.
That's okay.
That's awesome.
Thanks. All right.
Okay, before I talk about my favorite artist, we have another comment here from Reedham Steven. I like that name.
Hey.
My favorite writer would be Tom Taylor. His stuff on Injustice is so good, and he is actually making Iron Man readable with his run on Superior Iron Man.
Oh.
Tom Taylor. Yeah, so Injustice. Who mentioned that earlier? Who was
I
talking
did.
about that?
The
Yeah.
video game comics, yeah.
Yeah, see, and I've heard the same thing about that book.
Right.
But I don't know. When I first was exposed to it, there were some panels people were posting pages or panels from pages on Tumblr, and there's some things that were shown that I'm like, I don't care for a story about Superman who goes crazy and kills people and whatnot. But over the last, I don't know, year or so that I've been seeing these things posted, there have been some other elements that have been shared that made me think, actually, this looks like an interesting story. Maybe I should be reading it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that has a lot to do with what Tom Taylor is actually putting on the page.
Well, maybe you came around when you decided you liked leaving Megalopolis too, which is basically a Superman running around killing people.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, so my choice for favorite artist. Let's see here. Well, I'll just show you.
Oh yeah.
Terry Moore.
Terry
Here we
Moore. So
wow.
that was, I just showed you. I just pulled a random issue 29, but I mean it's very striking. With the girl in the red dress doing the Marilyn Monroe pose over a grave, an open grave site. But so that's really striking, sure. And Terry Moore can draw beautiful women. We've known that since he's worked on Strangers in Paradise. But I mean, look at the background with the trees and the grass. I mean, the guy draws weather in his comics. I mean, how many
Yes.
people do that? And he does it in such an interesting and visually acceptable, I'll just say, way that it's not realistic, but it evokes the realism of the weather. He puts in pencil shading with pencil in his book. I mean, it's a black and white comic, but even some of his covers that are colored still have the pencil shading look to it. It's phenomenal what this guy can do. He can draw emotion so well on the characters' faces, and like I said, the background work that he does, the detail he puts into it is just freaking amazing. And bonus, he can do Peanuts-esque.
Yeah.
This is I'm showing the cover to SIP Kids, which just came out. This is number 2 that just came out recently, but issue 1 came out in 2014. I just couldn't find it readily to show, but so he can do funny character drawing as well as the more realistic work that he does. So the guy's phenomenal. And for those that are watching the video, if you're looking over my left shoulder here, there's a print. Was it the 20th anniversary of SIP print that he did, and showing Kachu up there. He's a great guy too. I talked to him at Emerald City Comic Con, and he's so quiet, but appreciative of the fans, and I just love his work, and he deserves any and all accolades thrown his way.
Yeah.
He's definitely on my list to meet for sure.
Great pick. The thing about Terry Moore at this point to me is that if you say like best artist of 2014, he didn't register in my mind because he's just one of those people who's like, yeah, of course Terry Moore's great.
Yeah.
It's been such a constant for so long. It just doesn't like stand out. I just expect the stuff to be great when I pick it up and have been for years. That was interesting when I heard people talking about Rachel Rising, kind of more last year. A lot of people are starting to jump on the book, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is such a great book." I'm like, "Yeah, I've been saying that since it first popped on, and I
Yeah.
just kind of figured people knew. It's Terry Moore, right?" Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So, Matt, have you read Strangers in Paradise and what was the other one he did?
Echo.
Echo, yeah.
Yeah, I caught up with Strangers in Paradise as it was going, and I kind of read that in trades, and I had to wait for the last two, which was really painful because I read all the first, most of it in like 2 weeks because he just couldn't put it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting like Echo issue by issue is just incredibly painful.
I know.
See, I did the opposite with Strangers and Echo. I bought the trades, and then, but with Rachel, I decided to jump on with the single issues. Either way, you could enjoy Terry Moore with more.
Yeah, he's such a great guy, but I went and tracked down some of his DC work because he did a small run for Birds of Prey way back when,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
I
just
got that too.
not the same in my
No,
mind.
it's not. but it's still good. I mean, I don't think that guy can draw a bad picture if he tried.
Sure if he tried.
Well, maybe if he's trying to emulate Capullo, perhaps.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm joking. Totally joking.
Last issue of Rachel Rising was fantastic, by the way.
I haven't read it yet. It's in my
Okay.
to-read pile.
You read that
Well,
as soon as
it's
we're
good.
done.
Okay, let's move on to our favorite. And I know, Matt. Well, I think Matt was having trouble with this. Favorite media adaptation, or maybe it was Johnny.
It was both of us, actually.
Okay.
It's everybody except for you,
Everybody.
Eric.
Yeah.
We're all comic purists.
That's it. We are snobs.
That's right. I'm an elitist hipster comic book collector, and
If it's not printed or a digital representation, it's not worth your time.
I'm not even digital. What are you talking about?
The D word.
Oh,
Check out
the
this
D
guy.
word again. Holy crap.
We
Oh,
are out of here.
yeah.
Well, did you choose anything at all, Travis?
I did it. No, I'm not a big fan of any of it. I mean, I watch a lot of it, but I don't know that I'm a fan. I mean, I'm excited by a lot of it. I did actually enjoy, surprisingly, Captain America: Winter Soldier. As far as like movie type thing go, I did actually kind of like that. Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of stuff I haven't seen though. I'm so far behind on like DC's animated stuff, for instance. I haven't watched anything that came out this last year.
That was
I know.
great.
Not about those.
I'm missing out. I know I am. I just haven't gotten around to watch them because I've got lots of comic books to read, and that excites me more than. I'm sorry, it's the truth.
You are a
the media.
snob.
I am. Than the media adaptations of that stuff. There's been enough letdown type stuff that despite the 10-year-old me going, oh my gosh, all this stuff would be cool and exciting. The reality is it's never as cool as exciting as what my comic books were as a kid. So I don't know. There are aspects of Gotham that are fun. I'm finding more and more that I don't like the Flash, which I know puts me in a minority. Everybody else loves that feel good, whatever. To me, it's cheesy and beyond predictable. And
Wait, weren't you just telling me just not too long ago that's a CW? That's
Yeah.
what CW does.
it is, and it's hitting those so hard that it's. I guess if I'm gonna have to watch CW, I'd rather be the melodramatic, over the top, ripping off Batman Arrow.
You mean Arrow, yeah.
Right, then Arrow, than the Flash version of it. So I don't know. I guess.
Yeah.
All right. What
What
about you,
Matt?
Matt?
We're all gonna be.
No,
So
this is
for me, it was actually really easy once I got down to it, because I was thinking, what, like media adaptation stuff do I care about? Oh, video games. The only superhero video game that really came out this year was the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game, which kind of took a different twist on Spider-Man stuff. So you had Craven training Spider-Man on how to hunt down people for a while, and you had to do different photo stuff. It was pretty decent. It was the only one that came out this year, so it was really easy to pick. It's not as good as a couple other Spider-Man video games that have come out in the past, though. So, yeah, but better than the last one. I don't know. So that's my pick.
Okay. Well, obviously, it sounds like I shouldn't have had this category, but John, what do you got?
I bought all the DC animated films that came out in 2014. I enjoyed those, especially the Suicide Squad in particular. That was fascinating. Loved
Yeah.
seeing that characterization of Harley Quinn. Fantastic. Actually, the best movie of 2014 lasted 25 seconds, and it was debuted in the San Diego Comic-Con, and that was the trailer for Batman and Superman. Those 25 seconds was the best movie I ever saw in 2014. Just because you know what? I said that loud and clear at a bunch of local comic shops, and everyone got a chuckle out of it. And one guy's like, "No, seriously," and I'm like, "No, I'm serious." So that was, but yeah, animated films. The Suicide Squad was fantastic, and I took my kids to watch Guardians of the Galaxy because they wanted to, not because I wanted to. Winter Soldier, I don't know, everyone was telling me, watch it, watch it, watch it. I watched it, and I was like, okay, I'm not really versed in Captain America and Bucky Barnes, but this Bucky Barnes Winter Soldier is annoying. He's like stronger than Superman. I don't like it. So I know. I'm the worst person to watch movies with. I do like Gotham because it's not like the comic book,
Right.
which I appreciate. Because I kind of don't understand when people are saying, "Ooh, Gotham's gross." Fish Mooney is not a real character, or that's totally away from the comic. It's like that's good. That's good because if you're trying to copy arcs and things from the comic book and you're getting it wrong, then I'd be more upset. But it's not, so I kind of welcome Gotham into my television every Monday night. But yeah. Sorry, Eric, I'm probably a bad person to ask this question.
We all are.
You made me think of something else, though, that I did really like media-wise, and that was the DC stuff they put out in celebration of Batman and Superman. So, like those Bruce Timm minis and like the kind of like going through the costumes of Superman and all that.
Oh,
They're put out on the web. I mean, they're only a few minutes, but those were
Oh, right.
slick. Those were cool.
Yeah. I forgot about those. Those were amazing.
Yeah,
I gotta watch that now. I don't know.
I'll have to find them.
Okay.
But
Send me a link on Twitter when you're done, or whenever.
all right.
Let's watch that trailer again for Batman Superman.
Wait, so John, are you talking about the one where it's just this music in the background? They just show the logo for 25 seconds?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the one that there's thunder, lightning, rain. You see a bat signal that's off. Batman approaches it, turns it on. And you see Superman hovering over the signal. It's like taunting him, and then Batman's eyes glow like the Dark Knight Returns. Perfect homage to Frank Miller's masterpiece. Love it. Love
It was
it.
Frank Miller's masterpiece.
Dude.
Eric, mute this man. No, but I just love that. It was perfect. It was well done. It was such a beautiful tip of the hat to that classic story, and it's so cool how they chose that scene to show us, just to get us going.
I
don't know.
actually haven't seen that.
It came up and they took it down right away. So
Oh, okay. That's
you're gonna
fine.
if you'll find, I'll try to find you the one that I think the last one I saw was actually recorded off a cell phone. So, but I want you to get the same, feeling I did. It's fantastic. You guys
It's a
see
pity. A pity we have to wait until 2016 for that.
why don't they just tease us with some more? I don't know. I was expecting another one, but for Super Bowl actually, there was a rumor going around that they were gonna tease us with another one.
Hmm.
But that all through, I guess. Or just show us that one again in HD. I'll take it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't choose that, but I did choose. Let's see here. I chose X-Men: Days of Future Past for the favorite media adaptation. My favorite movie, superhero movie. You know, it was great. Bryan Singer returns as director to the X-Men franchise. It's a sequel to the poor third X-Men movie, and then the X-Men reboot, which was, what was it called? First Class.
Yeah.
And it was I was just, the Days of Future Past storyline is one of the iconic ones from X-Men. But what they did in the movie, what I like about the movie, and what I like about movies that do this, or like you guys were talking about Gotham, it's not like the comic. They've taken liberties. They're expanding the universe. They're going in different directions, and I felt that they did that on this adaptation. Now, obviously, it's a little closer than perhaps Gotham is to the Batman books, but they added elements to it that I really appreciated. I'm not a huge X-Men comic reader or fan, so a lot of this stuff was, not new to me, I wasn't as versed in it, and so I was exposed to certain characters and situations that I just didn't know a whole lot about. So it was fun. It was a fun ride, and I'm looking forward to the next thing that they're going to do. Although I have to admit, when they did that post-credit scene with Apocalypse, yeah, I had no idea what that was. That's how unversed I am with X-Men.
I loved it.
Everybody's going in the theaters going gaga. I'm like, and my family, who tends to go to the movies with me, were looking at me, because they always look at me like when Thanos shows up at the end of Avengers, right? They're like, who's that? I'm like, and I'm just going ape shit. And then I see Apocalypse. I'm like, okay, everybody's going crazy. I have no idea what this is. So, but now I know, obviously. But it'll be fun.
We'll get you reading X-Men. We'll start on a small diet and build up.
A small diet of X-Men? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
There's some gems you can start with.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I like Days of Future Past.
Chris Claremont is not one of my favorite writers, so.
And there's a lot of great X-Men that's not Claremont.
I'm sure there is. I'm no interest in going back to that unless they make a movie out of it.
Oh.
Ooh.
Why do I do these shows? I don't know.
All right.
Let's go on. Two more categories. Let's talk about our favorite ongoing series. 2014, Travis.
I'm assuming. Well, my runner-up is Low. I've really been enjoying it. I enjoy the art in it. I like the setting. This kind of apocalyptic setting, and the fact that the whatever world they're on, whether that's Earth or whatever it is gotten so hot that they have to keep receding deeper and deeper into the ocean, because they're getting so close to the sun that it's basically, land, if there is any, is completely scorched, kind of a thing. It is the main premise of it. It's about this family who were kind of aristocrats. They were in control of this mechanized armor that allowed them to hunt and provide for the city that they lived in and whatnot. They lose that in a pirate attack, and they lose half the family is kidnapped. The two daughters of the family are kidnapped. The husband is killed, and it leaves the mother and the son behind. And then the book, after the first issue, moves forward quite a few number of years and picks up the story of the mother, who she's an extremely hopeful person, and I am enjoying the story of her and how she can figure out how to maintain that level of hope with the horrible stuff that's happened to her and the horrible things that continue to happen to her and what's left of her family is just, I think, is incredible. The art by Tanichi is just grand. It's this kind of painted work that I really love, and so that's my runner-up. The book of the year for me is Deadly Class. Absolutely love it. It is all kinds of amazing. Wes Craven's, as I talked about earlier, his panel work is just incredible. His way of creating an energy and a pace is just amazing. The characters are fun. It's set in 1987. I still remember 1987 very well, despite it being a very long time ago. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the little bits and pieces that are in here that are so much about the 80s that I think if you aren't from the 80s, you might miss. But it doesn't take anything away from the story not knowing that stuff. The book has very violent and very vulgar moments in it. The main nemesis of the book, I probably won't say his name on air. F face, you can fill in what comes after F, and that's literally what he goes by. That's his name in the book. But still, just so enjoyable on so many levels. The relationship issues that go on in this are fabulous also. Just great. I just love it. And those are my books.
Are both those written by Remender?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Oh.
So you can avoid both of them.
Well, I have, but apparently I need to adjust my thinking.
No. I would say so, but whatever.
So, Travis, just real quick, you mentioned that it's set in 1987.
Yes.
And so, how much of that year, that era, is integral to the book?
Not a lot. I mean, some people, when the book first came out, they threw some fits because the main character. People wanted to think that when the first issue or so that they mentioned Reagan because Reagan's president and Reaganomics and that kind of being the kid is homeless and the main character is homeless at the time, and there's some implication that that's why. I didn't really think that was necessarily the case. I mean, they're basically just describing this is the era, this is what was going on during those times, but it's not. I don't think it's an intricate part of the story. There's like I said, there's little things. There's some homage to the Brat Pack stuff that, of course, was going out in the 80s, right? As far as the movies go, there's kind of some of that there. There's some similarities and some homage to that sort of stuff. There will be 80s references in places because I mean it is the 80s. So if you see a band T-shirt or that sort of stuff, it is that stuff. Some of it is more obscure 80s stuff. I mean now. I think people who are going back and looking at the 80s would say, oh, yeah, I know that stuff. I think a lot of it was somewhat obscure because it'd be like the punk scene and whatnot. Clearly, me and you, Eric, having grown up basically in the same place, a lot of that scene I think is probably unfamiliar to us at least because of where we lived at tended to be 10 years behind everybody else anyway. But so it has some of those elements in it and whatnot. But it's not linchpinned on that. You could read it not knowing it's set in the 80s, and I don't think it would throw you off any. Do you, John? I mean, I know we enjoy the 80s bits and pieces of the book, but that isn't. It isn't.
Exactly. That's not the reason why I like it.
Yeah, it's not linchpinned on that, but a lot of us that are from the 80s, we appreciate those bits and pieces.
Yeah, but it's a nice dusting of 80s nostalgia,
right?
That just makes me say, okay, Rick Remender, I know this book is amazing, but that's all it does.
I'll be the judge of that.
There you go.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Next up.
Oh, well, John, do you want to go ahead since we're just talking about Deadly Class anyway?
Yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah, I'll go like 2 minutes. Just saying. Travis
I
did a
can go
great
get a
job.
drink and let you finish, you know.
Travis did a great job talking about Deadly Class. Yeah. The reason why. I don't know what it is. See, Travis did a fantastic job. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. This is when I got back into comics. I started. I was introduced to indies because of Travis's show No Capes. Um, and of course, a lot of fantastic indies. Discovered like Rachel Rising, Peter Pan, stuff like that. But there's something special about Deadly Class. I don't know what it is. I haven't figured it out yet. But it basically is the comic book that I've been waiting for since I got back in. Um, okay, I know they're assassins or teenage assassins and stuff, but there's a lot of things in here that are kind of relatable and make it relatable. I don't know what it is yet. Just it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
the assassin part is kind of like the structure to base this around. I mean, so there are some crazy scenes that happen because of that, but individually these characters have all these other really screwed up kind of things about them and whatnot. It's got the relationship stuff going on that
yeah,
I don't know about you. As I'm reading it, I'm like going, maybe because I'm older, and Marcus, of course, obviously is a young man, in high school-ish, basically. I'm screaming as I'm reading the book. No, don't do that. That is such a mistake. In
yeah.
the relationship
Oh,
stuff, what's
oh
happening.
yeah.
You're just like going, oh God, don't kiss that girl. I mean, just
Exactly. Just walk away.
yeah.
Like I know. Um, how far was I gonna say? Oh, one thing about I love about this class or this clique, I guess, if you want to compare it to the Brat Pack, but
Mhm.
um, it's how they start off. They're introduced like they're all hard asses. Everyone has like a specialty, but you get to see how vulnerable these people are, how weak, how one of them. The first time I was introduced to this was when one guy who apparently came from a gangbang LA family couldn't have never killed a guy. So this is what I love about this book. It's not just Marcus, it's everyone in there, and they're so vulnerable. And Rick Mendes does a great job, and Wes Craig does an even better job at conveying that message. So, um, Eric, stop wasting your time. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was the hardest one for me to pick because
Come
the
on,
runner-up.
Daily class, come on.
Yeah.
No,
Just
no,
say it.
definitely
Just
not.
say it.
No, it's not Deadly Class, man. The book's okay.
Ooh.
I like it. I like it. I read it. I get it. It was one of my runner-ups because my runner-ups was, every book I talk about consistently on Wednesdays, Serial Wednesdays on YouTube.
Cool. Oh,
You know,
God, it's good.
Nice
Serial.
plug.
Yeah. It's not Deadpool. It was Wonder Woman this year with Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang doing that because that is what I want to see out of an ongoing series. I want each issue to kind of have its own thing, be its own satisfactory chunk of the story, even if it isn't completely its own story, and it all ties into this larger epic tale. Like I'd rather have these serial stories continue and build and mean something when it's all said and done. And that was one of the most impressive runs on Wonder Woman basically ever. And I think it should get extra accolades. It did something that I want to see comics do more and rarely manage to pull off. So
100% agree.
except
Are
the
you
other
reading,
class.
Matt? Are you reading the oh gosh, who's on the book now?
I
Finch and
gave
Finch.
Finch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave them one issue to try because I've been reading Wonder Woman before Brian Azzarello took over, and I like the character and all that. In one issue, I just decided I couldn't take it and dropped it. Same story with Batgirl. So, yeah. So DC saved me a lot of money.
Yeah.
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 All right.
So we're down to the wire.
Mhm.
What did you
All
pick?
right. So I'll start with my honorable mention first. Just simply Alex and Ada.
Oh.
Wow.
by Jonathan Luna and Sarah Vaughn. I talked about this comic and my pick that I'll talk about in a second on episode 75 of the podcast. It's just such a good story. It's a romance. It's a sci-fi romance comic, which is just it's a interesting combination. I almost can't believe I'm reading a romance comic that that I love so much. But that's just the power of the story and the characters that Jonathan Luna and Sarah Vaughn have created. The art is, again, it's if you're familiar with Luna's work, his art is kind of a simple style, but it's very very evocative in the emotional sense. Everything else is, his backgrounds and whatnot. Those are very simply put on the page, and there's not a lot of intricacy there. But the characters, the people that he draws, the way that he conveys these feelings that the characters have, comes across very well, and the plot itself is interesting. It's engaging. It's just a good book. But so every week or every month, I should say, I'm looking at the titles that I get to read, and one book through 2014. There are a lot of good books out there, but one book in particular, whenever I got it in my shipment or I bought it at the comic book shop, it became the number one. I want to read that book in my mind, and that is, and should be no surprise, it's Velvet by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting. This is just so much fun. It's a spy book, which apparently I like. I didn't realize that. I don't think I've not read like spy novels or anything. I enjoyed the James Bond movies and whatnot, but for some reason this book is really killing it for me. A lot of it has to do with Steve Epting's art, which is kind of, in a sense, the opposite of Luna's. It's very detailed. There's a lot of stuff going on in the backgrounds. The characters are drawn very well. A lot of times artists can do the front face shots of characters, but you turn their head slightly and then things look a little off. And Steve Epting doesn't do that. Doesn't matter what angle he's drawing, it looks like the same character every time. It's just a really cool story. Velvet Templeton is this aging former field agent for the spy agency, and she gets drawn back into duty after 15 years, I think it is, of not being a field agent. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to figure out the mystery of who killed this particular person, and she ends up getting framed for it, and that's where we're at with the story right now. It's a period piece as well, which I particularly like. I'm a big fan of 1960s period piece stuff. This is actually set, the modern day of this is actually set in the 70s, but we get flashbacks to earlier times, the 60s and the 50s, when she first started doing this work. So it's just, you get all that, the political intrigue, all the spy stuff, and it's just a lot of fun. So it's my pick for the year.
Wow. I've heard people like that book, but I haven't heard anyone give it that amount of praise. So.
Really, and neither have I. So that I'm kind of, I talked about this book as well, obviously on episode 75 with Alex and Ada. Image is just, and I'll talk about this in a second, but Image has just been putting out so many cool books over the last several years, and these are just two of them, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to come out with in 2015, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay, last category. I know you're sad to know that this is almost over. This is most anticipated for 2015.
Oh, no.
What do you got, Travis?
I don't know. There are well, book-wise, I think one of the books I'm most looking forward to is Paper Girls. Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang doing a book together. Super excited by that. I'm super excited to see Cliff Chang finally get to stretch his muscles even further in doing not a corporate-owned property. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, there are a lot of image books that are coming out that I'm really curious and excited about. I'm probably Pollyannishly excited by the latest news to come out from DC that Dan Didio is quoted as saying that stories what matters, continuity not so much. It sounds like they're going to open the doors and let creators tell the stories they want to tell. The reality of that probably is not the case, but I kind of want to think right now that that's the case. So I'm excited.
We can hope.
I'm excited for the second half of the year. For that to see what that really means. Does that really mean we're gonna see something different, or does it just mean that there's been some excitement around this new kind of model of comics, this kind of younger, fresh-faced look on some of these comic book characters? Are we just going to get a lot more of that? I'm fine with some of that, but I'm hoping everything isn't that, because it shouldn't be. So I'm hoping that's not what they mean by that. I'm hoping like I said, I'm hoping that they're going to give creators kind of a little more room to, stuff that we've talked about for years now with the New 52, give them more room to breathe, to have these quiet moments, so when the big moments happen, they mean something, and we're invested in that. I'm excited by that. The news that's coming out for 2015, I have to admit it's a struggle to find the good stuff, because I'm having a hard time not focusing on the whole Convergence malarkey, the whole Secret Wars stuff that I'm not as invested in Marvel, but I tire of that whole it's going to change the universe thing. And every year it seems to be more tiring than the last year, so hard not to focus on that. So
you cranky old man.
I am crotchety old, get the hell off my comic book lawn kind of a guy. There's no doubt about it.
Get off my comic book page.
That's right. That's right. So that's my take on 2015.
All right, excellent. Matt, what about you?
I'm really excited to see what Image and maybe Dark Horse is going to be putting out, maybe Boom, and then I'm going to be really excited to dig into some back issues. That's my take on 2015.
Back issues that you already own, or back issues that you are going to acquire, or both?
Probably both, just anything but what DC and Marvel is going to be putting.
See, it's not just me.
It looks so bleak. It looks so bad. And it's probably not going to be that bad, but right now I can't see the happy side of it.
Wow, you guys are really downers.
We are.
Jeez. I'm all depressed now. John, lighten me up here. Give me some good news.
I think you're going to like this one. Actually, just one book that I'm most looking forward to, mainly because of I love this group of heroes, I guess. It's the We Are Robins book by Lee Bermejo. I'm actually a little worried. I'm not really worried, but Lee Bermejo is going to be writing it. I've written some stuff he's done before, and this week actually Suiciders comes out. So if people aren't too familiar with Lee Bermejo writing, check it out, I guess. But for Lee Bermejo, being a fantastic artist that he is, he picked Rob Haynes and Kerry Randolph, two basically unknowns. Is it safe to say, to do the art? Anyways, the concept of the book, I've talked to this about Travis once in the Hangout. It wasn't what I was hoping was going to be. It was that concept Lemire brought up first, which is a concept that I've been talking about for like forever. The original Robins, a book of just original Robins coming together. And probably just having what's that called? Water cooler talk about their boss, Batman, something fun like that. But it's going to be a group of kids that just take up arms against they're gonna debut in Detective Comics Endgame issue, I think. That's where we're going to get our first look at them. So I'm curious. It has Robins. The cover looks fantastic. That's actually one of the book that I'm most excited for 2015 is that book. Seriously.
I'm actually looking forward to that as well. Like you, I was kind of wanting a, former Robins getting
Yeah.
together book, but
Yeah.
I'm still going to check this out. If it has anything to do with Robin, I'm kind of predisposed to picking it up. So
There you go. Eric, are you hoping for? Do you think they're gonna have some, let's say, other Robins coming in and mentoring them?
God, I
They
hope
have
so.
to. They're gonna
They
have
have to
to.
include some of them. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just hope it's not just Red Hood.
Oh, knock it off. Knock it off. He's not a Robin.
Well,
Whoa.
can you imagine? Can you imagine Red Hood and Damien trying to tell some street level people
Exactly.
this is how you should fight? I mean, it's all gonna be about breaking. It's all gonna be about breaking knees and elbows and.
And how great would that be? One
It would be
issue
hilarious.
we get Dick Grayson saying, "Hey guys, this is how you do a ninjutsu sleeper hold," and then next issue we get Jason Todd saying, "By the way, aim for the kneecaps and elbows." And then
Yeah.
Damien comes in. It'd be
Yeah.
amazing. I think it'd be great.
Oh. I just see this gang of kids running around after they've been tutored by Damien Red Hood. Just they'd be a menace amongst themselves. Just
And all of a
butchering
sudden,
people.
yeah. And then what if this is the book that actually introduces Carrie Kelly as a Robin in the new DC?
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think that'd be great as well, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Tim Drake in a title that's worth reading again.
No.
Yes, Travis.
If
Yes.
he's in the title, it's not worth reading. That's
Oh
it's
my
as simple
God.
as that.
I read Drake before I read Grayson.
Ugh.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Who is this
What?
guy?
He's my
Who invited
favorite
him?
Robin. He was my Robin.
I like them all. Well, except
Yeah.
for Todd.
As a Robin, yeah.
He's my least favorite.
He's
He's everyone's least favorite.
Not Travis's.
Oh, right.
As Red Hood, he's phenomenal. Okay, let's stop this.
All right.
So, Eric, what are you looking forward to in 2015?
Yeah, pretty much what I said just a few minutes ago. Basically, not anything. A lot of the stuff coming out that was announced for Image Expo. A lot of the books that they're talking about that may start in 2015. I'm hopeful. There's a long list. You mentioned Paper Girls, Travis. That's one of my top ones. That's Brian K. Vaughan, right?
Yes.
Writing. Yeah, you put
Yeah.
Brian K. Vaughan's name on anything, I'm likely to buy it. What else they've got? Oh, the new volume of Phonogram.
Yeah.
A couple others. Revengeance. That's who's the artist on that?
He's writing and drawing it both.
Yeah. He does the Parker adaptations. But wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on this guy's name. Anyway,
That's not Tim
Tadaima.
Sales, right?
No, not sales.
No, it's Yeah, that's bad that I can't remember now either.
We're old.
Oh, I know.
That's what I say all the time when I can't remember someone's name. I think it's pronounced Tadaima or Tadaima. That's the new book from Emmy Lennox that looks really interesting. Heaven, Savior. That's a Todd McFarlane book, but I'm even interested. Just the premise of that. I'm really curious what they're going to do with that.
That does sound great, by the way. I did read a preview. Savior.
Monstrous, just only because of that the cover image, the preview image that they put out on that, just looks gorgeous. So if that's what the book is going to look like, then I'm probably gonna have to pick that up just by the way it looks. Story sounds pretty good too, but yeah. Anyway, all this stuff from Image Comics is just sounds really good. They've, like I said before, in 2014 they put out a lot of great books. I talked about them before. I talked about a few of them today. I love what Image is allowing their creators to do, to put out these great comics. I just wish everybody else, meaning DC and Marvel, would do the same thing. And not that they don't exclusively. There are some exceptions, but by and large, Image is certainly hitting it out of the park more often and much further than stuff that's coming out of the big two.
No argument from me.
Yeah, sounds about right.
We agree on something. Is it unanimous?
Oh, of course.
All right, there we go.
Oh my gosh.
And what a great way to end the episode. Okay. Do you guys have anything else you want to say about 2014 in regards to our world of comics?
I don't think so.
No?
They didn't say at the beginning of the show. You know, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
There was one thing I did kind of want to bring up because in
Oh, God.
2014, well, in DC we got basically 2 decent weekly books, and I think it's kind of cool to see this turnaround of the weekly book, which DC's been trying to do for a few years now, and they've had more or less success depending on the title, and it's kind of cool to see them kind of finally get this thing down, which is I think it's a big deal for comics in general. Oh.
So you think we should have more weekly comics?
No, thank you.
Not more, but if we could keep the level we have, I think that might be good. If we can keep them decent, because you probably only want one weekly book at a time, right?
Right.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think having a weekly book is something to look forward to in the pool. I don't know.
Well, Marvel's dipping their toe in that now too, right? With Wolverines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard much positive about that, but I've mostly only heard Travis talk about it.
I think, well, Marvel's the master at the weekly, aren't they? Aren't they actually the
Well,
inventors
they're-
of the daily? Amazing Spider-Man. That's what it felt like at one point.
Oh, yeah, their release schedule for some of their books is pretty radical. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's
even
why.
their monthly titles are
Yeah.
more than.
Like Hawkeye. Woof, that just flew.
Yeah.
It would be interesting though if one of the independent publishers tried a weekly book.
Mm.
I wonder how that would go over with us.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, not just us, but everybody. You know, it's hard enough to sell an independent book as it is, but to sell a weekly book too.
There's a lot of logistics involved in a weekly book. You know, it's.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that has to come from the big two because I think you need the money to make that work. I don't know if even Image is at that point yet.
Walking Dead finished the arc that was double
The
shipped.
war, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I did feel a little exhausted, and I did sense just the quality did diminish a bit. That's the issue I have with weeklies. I think the
Right.
quality's not there. That's all. Or I don't know, just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, now we're ending on a downer note. Let's.
Well,
We should have stopped where we were ahead. Thanks a lot, Matt.
I was trying to be positive.
Okay. Well, we've been talking for, gosh, almost 3 hours, I think. Some of us were over that before we actually started the show. So, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time and making the effort to fill that list out and come on here today and talk with me and everybody else about the year 2014. So let's end by reminding everyone where they can find you out on the internets. Matt, let's start with you.
My channel on YouTube is Wednesday's Cereal. Cereal as in killer, not as in a bowl of. So that's where you can find me.
There you go. They'll remember that one for sure. Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny DaCosta, DC Comics on YouTube. Two guys right here, Otto Sauce and Matt, part of my core group of Bat Chat. Was a monthly Batman show. Coming back for sure, sooner rather than later. And I do previews once a month as well. That's on Running with Comics channel. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you. Travis.
And of course, you can find me at Oddfellows Thoughts on YouTube. Don't just type in Oddfellows because then you get the whole society thing, which is its own adventure. But Oddfellows Thoughts, and yeah, I put something out at least once a week. So
At least, yeah.
Talk about daily.
Prolific.
And you do the comic book parfait, right?
once a
Annually?
year. Once a year.
Once a year. So we're due, Travis. We're due for another one.
Probably are. Yeah.
This was a nice version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and I will, of course, put links to everyone's locations in the show notes for this. So make sure you go out there and click those links and follow these great guys and watch their videos. If you'd like to leave comments about anything that we have talked about, we talked about a lot of stuff, but if there's anything that you feel compelled to message us about, you can do so. For those that are watching this video, you can do so on YouTube, Google Plus, I guess, as well. For those that are listening to the audio-only version, go to longboxreview.com and you can leave comments there, or you can even email me at longboxreview@gmail.com. Thanks again, guys, once again for joining me on this wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it.
Loved it. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Travis.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
And everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Go read some comics. Have some fun. Bye-bye.